Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. This is episode 185. Welcome. I am Peter. And that voice you heard there was Matt.
Yeah. Hey, it didn't count.
And that voice you don't hear there, and hopefully if we're lucky it'll stay that way, Connor.
Nah, tough shit, sorry.
See, he couldn't be silent because then Pete's right. So.
Exactly. Plus, the audio podcast listeners may have a bit.
That was pretty much the only reason I spoke about. Otherwise,
Pete, it didn't count.
It didn't count? It counted.
It didn't count.
It counted, damn it.
No. Jericho yelling it didn't count made my entire week.
Oh, right. Oh, wait, we started this now.
No, I'm just. That was a little less. It was a little more subtle, so I had to explain to the common people.
No,
might not get it.
I love the didn't count as well. I have things to say. We'll do that a bit later.
No, that's fine.
So yes, we're going to have about comic books, DC Comics in particular. This week we have the following books. Feel free to count along at home. Detective Comics 1017, because it's written by, of course,
Tom Taylor.
and that's why we're reading that this week, even though we've not been reading it for a while. Detective Comics 1017, Superman 18, The Flash 84. I actually said I was going to reorganize these before I started. I didn't do it, but we'll just go with what's here. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy number 4, Batman The Outsiders number 8, Hawkman 19, Supergirl 37, Tales from the Dark Multiverse, The Teen Titans Judas Contract number 1, Wonder Twins 10, The Batman's Grave number 3, Far Sector 2, Batman Curse of the White Knight number 5, and The Dollhouse Family number 2. Whew.
13 books. And I got a Patreon book as well at the end.
Oh, I didn't even put that down. Undiscovered Country, was it?
It was, yes.
Number 2.
Because I wasn't getting it in next week, was I?
That's true.
Oh, God. So that means I'll check out. I might go run some errands while Connor's talking about that, but I'll be back.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you see me with Taco Bell...
It'll be quicker than the last issue, quite significantly, don't worry.
Okay, yeah.
It's a lot more straightforward.
Yeah, I was going to read it this week, too. I didn't realize you were going to... but I was going to have it read just so we don't have that issue again where I hadn't read it, but my shop got shorted on their copies of it. From Diamond.
Classic Diamond.
Yeah, right. So I didn't get it.
So it's one of those weeks. Me and Matt, we'll do a little wrestling talk. We didn't have one last week, but we'll do that as a break after Solicits and news. Right?
Yeah. No, that's good.
We'll break up the flow for us.
For me to go get a snack.
Yeah, you can go get a snack during that time. But so obviously that's for the patrons. They get the wrestling talk that me and Matt do. So. Yeah, we do have Solicits. It's a big week. We have a lot of books. We have Solicits. We have a little bit of news. I'll just mention the little side bit of news before we dive into the Solicits themselves. These are, of course, the Solicits we're talking about for March 2020. That's where we are in terms of Solicits. So if I get up the other bit of news, Batgirl's changing its Solicit for issue 43. That's the January issue. What's interesting as well is I noticed in the Solicits that the cover they've got up for the issue in March was actually originally going to be the cover for issue in February. So they've clearly shuffled a few things around with what's coming up from Batgirl. But yeah, they've changed the Solicit. So the new Solicit text is as follows. After the disaster is dust up with Oracle, Batgirl needs to regroup. But when a power villain's imagination takes the city by storm, she must go once more unto the breach of superheroism. Reads Solicit. The Maker has come to Gotham to claim a prize from his past, and Batgirl must stop him before she loses herself in the grip of his twisted tales come to life. So, yeah, we got a villain thing. Before it was about her strange mother, was the whole thing.
Yeah, and a new villain called Opus.
Opus?
Yeah.
Does he carry a magnum?
Probably. If not, he's missing a trick.
Is his real name Mr. Holland? That's a Richard Dreyfuss joke. You need to laugh at that, Connor.
I smirked. Just, it's fine.
That was incredibly disappointing. Let's get a we got a lot to talk about this week. So, Solicits.
Yeah.
First of all, so, we saw that in January they're doing the Wonder Woman 750, and they're doing that in the style of those 1,000 issues for Action Detective, where you got all the decade variants, you've got 100 pages, give or take, of all these all-star creators doing all these stories that are anything between a few pages to, 10 pages long, right? And we saw that with Wonder Woman in January, and then the Flash, the February solicits hit, and we saw they're doing the same for Flash 750, which happens to be hitting the month after. In fact, I'll use this time to also add that me and Connor's complaints about the numbering going to 750 and going back again have been rectified because DC are going to continue the legacy numbering after the 750s, which I quite like. I like legacy numbering, so go for it.
I've been on the record as not a huge fan of just jumping to legacy numbering just for the sake of it, but this is way better than jumping back again.
Yeah. Do you think that means eventually we're going to see Batman and Superman, some of the other biggies, switch?
When they hit a nice number, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because Batman, I don't know if it's the next issue or this issue we just had, but one of those is 850, so that's where we are with Batman. And Superman's, or is it the other way around? Is Superman just hit 850 and Batman's a little bit behind? But either way, they're both in the mid to early 800s.
Might wait until 900 then at that point, just to spread these out a bit.
Well, that's the thing. If they want these big anniversary issues that are 100 pages and have all these decade variants, they've found another way of doing it for March, because in March, the first solicit is Robin 80th Anniversary 100-page spectacular, and once, like those other issues, it has all the decade variants, which I'll read out in a minute, and they're doing 100 pages of all these creators, some of which are very specific to, you know, Dick Grayson's past, and some of which are, you know, not, but This is like, I joked when I saw this, they're going to find a way of having one of these every month in 2020, because that's 3 for 3 in these 100 pages. Luckily, you know, we promised extra episodes for the other 200 pages. Luckily, this one might have been one that we potentially would have considered skipping. However, the week this comes out happens to be a surprisingly quiet week for books, so it'll just be a regular book on that week's episode.
Do you know what I will give them one tiny modicum of credit for, as kind of throwaway and pointless as it, you know, feels like, oh, hey, you know, any excuse to have that big, you know, 1000 style issue. At least they just called it 80th anniversary and didn't try and make up issue 1000 like Marvel did.
Joe, it's funny, when I first read this, my eyes glossed over the 80th part of the sentence, and I started laughing because they just made up a Robin spectacular 100-page book, and I was like, oh, it's 80th anniversary, okay, that's fair enough. Okay, there's actually a celebration reason for it. It's not just... Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong, they are going to reach for any excuse now, because these obviously are selling.
Do you know what the sad part is that Supergirl last year had her 60th anniversary, so they've just missed their big chance with her.
Yeah, they hadn't stumbled onto the gold yet.
We'll get her 61st. It'll be fine.
Everyone knows 61's a big birthday.
Like, I get this, but I kind of don't like it either. Well, I don't like having to pay for it. It's a
$10 book, you know.
Yeah. And that hurts the wallet.
But at least with this one, it is on a quiet week. So it's like for Connor, this, if we count this as 4 books, for Connor, this puts him up to about 7 for that week. So it's not
unfeasible. No.
Yeah.
No.
I think for me and Matt, it's up to about 9. So you know, it's not.
Yeah, I think you've got like Superman and something else on me that week.
So
there's a pretty big name I would have liked to see in the author.
Well, let me read out what is there, and you can add in what you think's missing. So the writers in this book are going to be Marv Wolfman, Chuck Dixon, Devin Grayson, Tim Seeley, Tom King, Judd Winnick, James Tynion IV, Amy Wolfram, Robbie Thompson, Adam Glass, and Peter J. Tomasi. Not thrilled about Adam Glass because I've not liked what I've read from him, but
it does say and more.
And more.
Yeah,
true.
It says and more.
That's true.
Kind of bummed there's no Higgins. Like, Higgins is doing a little bit with these Tales from the Dark Multiverse. I know how much he loves the Dick Grayson character, almost as much as me and Pete, and possibly more. So yeah, I just would have liked to seen that. Like, he did that whole future story. What was it, New Order?
Yeah, and he had a brief run in the start of the New 52.
Maybe he'll get
he might
something
be one of them all.
In the 5G, I'm wondering, like maybe in the 5G hits he'll get a book. Maybe not Dick Grayson because he's done Dick before.
Well, I'm just saying for Robin, like, if you're gonna do a Dick Grayson story, I think a Higgins would have been really, really fun.
Seeley and King are doing a Grayson bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes
they
sense.
have to. Although Seeley also did the
Nightwing
Rebirth.
Yeah. So
that's true.
So
yeah, I mean Marv Wolfman, I would expect a New Teen Titans era looking Nightwing. Chuck Dixon probably Nightwing as well. Although, I expect a few Robin stories in here too. But Chuck Dixon, I associate mainly with Well, no, I associate Chuck Dixon with Nightwing.
Yeah, but
not with year one. Like he did the original Nightwing ongoing from the 80s. Yeah. He did that for 80 issues.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
but he did. But he also did the Robin that with Tim and Stephanie and.
Well, that's the question though. Is this going to have the other Robins, or is it just about Dick Grayson? Because it is his 80th. It's not like the other Robins aren't turning 80.
No, I think if you read the description, it's going to have the others. It's Robin.
It's all the Robins. If you wore the mantle of Robin, there's going to be stuff because you want to give it a read.
Yeah, it mentions in here from the high-flying adventures of Dick Grayson to the tragedy of Jason Todd, the enthusiasm of Tim Drake and the arrogance of Damian Wayne, persistence of Stephanie Brown, and rebelliousness of Carrie Kelly. So basically, they're all getting something.
Yep.
I bet there's one that has all of them.
Oh, probably, yeah.
There'll be one that has all of them.
I'm looking at all of these, so I'm pretty sure Adam Glass has been writing Teen Titans.
Yeah, you're
Probably
Damien.
going to handle Damien. Same with Peter Tomasi.
Yeah.
But then you have Judd Winnick, who he's written Dick and Tim. So it's pulling from all the eras.
Winnick's done some stuff with Todd as well, right?
He did. He
did
back.
Under the Red Hood, yeah. So.
Yeah. He brought him back.
Tynan, probably Tim, given tech, but I mean, no guarantees, of course.
I would guess Tim for Tynan.
Yeah. Or Steph.
Or Steph, yeah.
So, yeah, so like I like the idea of this. I just don't like that if we're gonna start doing this more. Like it's different when it's action and tech with the thousands, and then
the 750s were already like, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, it's just becoming a little bit much, but since I do love Robin as a character,
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if they have one of these in April, but I mean, someone scour the anniversaries and what issue milestones we're hitting for April. See if there's any of them going to pull out. Because what's interesting is Aquaman, because I was updating my comics database this week, and Aquaman did actually hit its issue 300 this year. Issue 49 earlier this year was issue 300 in legacy numbering, so they've just missed one with him as well.
I guess that's not a big enough number to really go all in on, like,
I guess
750. Feels so much bigger. I mean, it is. It's like more than double, but you know what I mean. Like those sound like, okay, we're getting towards the 1,000 mark. It's a big milestone. Whereas 300 is like, I mean, sure, yeah, it's good, but even 250 sounds like it's a more important number than 300.
No, but the fact that Aquaman's had so many starts and stops too, like there hasn't been a consistent like there has been with the others.
Like the fact that it's only at 300.
Yeah, that's actually kind of shocking. Like there's been 300 Aquaman issues.
I mean, we're actually getting close to 300 Batgirl issues, but what's interesting is that Batgirl didn't have a solo book until Cassandra Cain.
Right.
So that's only been since like 2000-ish. So
it's been pretty consistent as opposed to Aquaman,
where
it's taken decades longer.
It started much later, but it has been consistent once it started.
Yeah.
Because it was cast, and obviously Steph had her run, and then it went into New 52 Babs, and obviously we've been with Babs since.
We've had a Batgirl book every month since then.
Yeah. So there you go. I'll just read the artists as well and the variant covers, because obviously those are of interest. Tom Grimmett, Scott McDaniel, Mikkel Yannin, Kenneth Rockefort, Freddie E. Williams II, Javi Fernandez, Nicholas Scott, Dustin Nguyen, Andy Kubert, Frank Miller, and others are in the art. Not looking forward to the Frank Miller art story.
He's doing Carrie Kelly, surely.
Probably,
yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he would do
and the 80s variant cover, as it says right here.
Yeah, the variant covers. 1940s is Jim Lee and Scott Williams. 50s is Julian Totino Tedesco. Apologies if I butchered that. Dustin Nguyen is the 60s. The 70s is Carrie Andrews. 80s is Frank Miller. Makes sense. 90s is Jim Chung. 2000s is Derek Chu. And 2010s is Yasmin Putri. So what's interesting is presumably 40s through 80s has to be Dick. Well, yeah. I mean, 80s you could argue Jason Todd was there by the end, so
or Carrie Kelly.
Oh yeah, Carrie Kelly could be the 80s, but 40s to 70s has to be just Dick, right?
Yeah, in different versions. Like I can see that the 70s is a little bit different of a costume than the
that, or if they don't,
boots.
They might play with, okay, we're doing all the Robins just in the style of.
Sure, okay, I could see that. But I would expect that 90s would be Tim, 2000s would be Damian. Although Jason has to fit in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
no, he doesn't.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I think describing him as a tragedy is the most like.
I mean, maybe do 90s Jason Todd, 2000 is Tim. Because a lot of 2000s Tim was still Robin, and then 2010 you do Damian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't Red Robin until what?
2009.
Yeah,
2009, yeah.
2010. So he was from 90s to up to then.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you give Jason the 90s just because where else are you going to put him?
Got to go somewhere.
And I can see Jim Chung doing a decent,
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's 96 pages, $10 book.
That's kind of weird, right? 96 pages, but the title is 100-page spectacular.
Well,
close enough.
Just put the extra 4 pages in. Stop being cheap.
Put in 4 pages of ads even, just to pad it.
At least have it say 100 pages in both places.
Well, then it couldn't. Just make it a 96 page then. Isn't that hard?
96 page per. Why not just do 80 pages? It's the 80th anniversary. Sure, 80 sounds good.
80-page spectacular, and oh look, there's like 16 pages of ads.
Fine.
It's fine.
Well, maybe it works out. Maybe there's 80. Well, nah, because didn't the 1000s not have ads? Wasn't that one of the part of the special appeal of them?
Well, that's what prestige format means, though.
I had pin-ups, but I would say that's okay.
Yeah. But no, prestige format usually means no ads. It's just straight story, so they can't even pad it with 4. Even in universe ads would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't actually mind pin-ups instead of ads. That's fine. That's cool. Nothing wrong with some pin-ups.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be 96 pages of story. Pin-ups they're nice to have there as breaks between the stories.
Anyway, so then the next solicit we've got here is Strange Adventures #1. Obviously, we've been looking forward to this for a while. Tom King writing with Mitch Gerrards and Evan Doc Shaner on the art. That first cover, of course, is beautiful. And I love the sort of scribbled on speech bubble that just says "I kill." Someone's graffitied this because it's kind of like an old school like space poster. Yeah, the old propaganda like NASA thing.
Also,
really cool.
Also has War Criminal on there and space. My favorite though is Space Liar.
Space Liar.
I'm really looking forward to seeing Shayna's cover.
Yeah.
Was it a Gerrards or was it Shaner that has been making rounds as the phone background? Someone tweeted it to King and then King retweeted it.
I have
no idea.
Is this his variant?
I don't know. I can't tell, but if you dig through Twitter, you'll see it. It's a really gorgeous. It's bluish and purple in the background.
So yeah, this book is a 40-page, $5 book. Obviously, it's 12 issues, much like Mr. Miracle. Should be a big deal. Looking forward to how King dissects Doctor Strange and whatever the second character that he's been teasing, which I don't think has been revealed as of yet. Like the second major character that he's using.
No.
Did you just call him Doctor Strange?
I did, yes. Sorry, Adam Strange. Adam Strange. He's not a doctor.
However, if he has his doctorate in archaeology, he is Doctor Strange.
True, yes.
Or does he have his doctorate?
I don't know.
He's got a doctorate in my heart.
It's always why I've been drawn to that character.
It's an honorary doctorate, if nothing else at this point.
He's a male fuzz doctorate. We've given him a doctorate. It's fine.
Yeah. But what gets me here is that in the solicit it says that Mr. Miracle team of writer Tom King and artist Mitch Gerrards are joined by fan favorite artist Doc Shaner to bring you an epic tale in the tradition of Watchmen. The Dark Knight Returns. Where you're like, okay, well that's pretty hefty. But then DC: The New Frontier. And when you think about what The New Frontier did, this makes me even more excited just because of the way that played with superheroes of that era. Yeah,
it's an interesting mix because it gives you the pulpiness of New Frontier, but then it gives you the weight of Watchmen in the same description. You're like, okay. Well, and when you
but New Frontier is also all about the Cold War, and there's those undercurrents too.
Oh, of course.
Out of Darwin Cook, so...
but what I'm saying is that mixing those things, and you look at Mr. Miracle and you see, you can see how Tom King does sometimes do this really heavy storytelling, but with this, this coat of paint on top of it, which almost gives it a more, almost a more impactful reach because it's doing it through this lens rather than just being cold and miserable the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, Doctor Strange #1. That's the first week of March. That's coming out.
It's Strange Adventures #1, not Doctor Strange.
God damn it! Strange Adventures #1. Look, stupid DC and Marvel. Joe's the fight the edge. It's not like I ever mix up Captain Marvel, and they've got the exact same name. Maybe that's I just get away with it because it doesn't matter. I can't get it wrong.
No, I got Miracle Man and Mr. Miracle confused a lot just in my brain. So
yeah.
So Strange Adventures #1, week 1 book, which is good because week 1's a little bit in the stale side right now and could use a dose of something exciting. So there you go. So obviously we spent a lot of time on those first two. We can go a bit quicker through a lot of these regular books. Batman 90, 91 are coming out. James Tynion's run continuing. Obviously we're looking forward to those. Thankfully a better artist on these issues. Yes, Jorge Jimenez is joining both these issues, so that's cool.
That's exciting.
We got Deceased Unkillables #2, which, just to remind you, is a 48-page book. It's only 3 issues though, so they're doing double-sized issues, but only 3 of them. Only $5 though, which actually is quite good given, if you compare it to Strange Adventures, to get the name right, it's actually more pages for the same price. So
it is $6 if you want the cardstock variant.
Yeah, but I mean that's true for all the books that have the cardstock variants. The $1 more. So a couple of the youth graphic novels up next. We got My Video Game Ate My Homework by Dustin Hanson, both writing and art. Is coming out. Gotham High by Melissa De La Cruz with art by Thomas Petilli. So those are coming out. And then we get into some of the other meaty books. We got You're the Villain, Hell Arisen #4, which is the final issue in this mini.
You know what? I don't think I'd really realized until this time that it's only 4 issues, even though I'm sure it was announced as that.
It was.
Kind of always known it.
Yeah.
But only it really sunk in that. Do you know what? This is only 4 issues. That's actually quite tight.
Do you know what it is? It's because Free Comic Book Day happens at the start of May, and then whatever the next big thing is going to start. So this is just neatly wrapping up in time for them to start, really ramping up the next thing.
Pretty much.
So it looks like Luther, according to this solicit, has got a second Legion of Doom, which now we need a name for.
The Road Warriors.
That's a wrestling joke.
What a rush! Yeah.
They can call them Demolition as well.
Oh, they had a cracking good theme tune.
Yeah, they did.
We're gonna smash them. Anyway, continue.
So as Lex Luthor's gathered a strike force of villains, he's leveled up to be the baddest bad guys around. Captain Cold, Oracle, Solomon Grundy, Black Manta, and Lobo. Each and every one a recipient of one of Lex's dark gifts. So, I kind of like this.
I wonder what books are dealing with Grundy and Lobo, because obviously,
Grundy is Justice League Dark.
Well, I mean, he's been there. He's on the team, but he hasn't been really.
No, that's what tells me. That's all part of the Doom thing too, out of Cersei, right?
It could possibly be, yeah.
So, but this tells me that Lex now also has a team to go up against the Secret Six, which Lex against the Secret Six is something.
Well, he's got
DC.
He's got 666 now. The Batman who laughs, not just 6, because of course.
Of course.
Do you know what? I'm not sure I'm looking forward to this event because it's Apex Lex versus Batman Who Laughs, right? But it's Epting on art, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, the art's. I mean, there's a page. All the books this week had a cover from it or whatever at the back, and Epting's art looks like. Just seeing the Batman Who Laughs in Epting's art, so you know what? I don't hate him as much anymore because Epting's art's just so good.
I still do.
I'm with Pete. Epting's art is just that good.
Yeah, but how often does Tynan let you down, Connor?
I don't want to answer that question.
Exactly, because it's been very few, very, very, very little.
Probably not since his earlier days with Talon or something.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by this little mini event. I think it's maybe the most interesting thing coming out is the idea of these two supervillain teams coming to blows. And I'm definitely most interested is as much as I think they're using the Batman Who Laughs too much. I am more interested in that side of it because I've not been a big fan of Apex Lex and what they've been doing with the Year of the Villain stuff. So the Batman Superman book and the Infected stuff. I mean, the one shots that I don't really care about aside. I've definitely been more into as a plot beat.
What's kind of interesting to me here is Justice League is ending before this does, and this is still about Apex Lex, and it mentions it's all about ruling next to Perpetua. So this stuff is not entirely this stuff is not entirely wrapping up in this Justice League volume. So this will finish, and then we might have something else after that kind of expands on that story.
Well, no, and knowing how close Snyder and Tynan are, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sure this plays into whatever Snyder has next.
I feel like the Justice League are going to win, and Lex is going to lose his team, which is why he's got a new team. I would expect.
Well, they all get put away, and this is why you have. I mean, when you look at the lineup, they're kind of. If you count Lobo as a Superman villain, they're kind of all represented.
Yeah, Cold's Flash.
So I don't know where else to put. But Oracle is the Bat villain. You got a Flash villain. Grundy. Green Lantern, maybe?
Grundy, I feel like I've seen Batman fight Grundy more than anyone else, but I don't know if that's
because he was from Gotham. But the Manta's Aquaman. Lobo could kind of, I guess, Green Lantern, maybe? Well, but I don't know where else to put him.
Manta's the only one who's returning, because he was on the Legion before and then he left.
Yeah, and he deuced out.
Yeah.
Because the Water War stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see how everything goes. It's interesting because it's only 4 issues. We've got the solicit for the final issue before we've even read the first one, which is obviously next week.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that starts to play out. But I am excited to move on to something beyond You're the Villain, because I don't think it's been
I think we all are.
Yeah.
I'm done. I don't want to see that Doom Signal anymore.
I know.
And it's such a shame because I don't blame the core story for that. Like, I know Pete's not been super into it at all times, but it's all the superfluous tie-ins that have ruined it, I think.
Yeah. It's just, part of the problem is as well is that they've treated it like this big event, but it's not actually, like, there's not really a core book. And I know Justice League kind of is the core book because that's where the main story's taking place, but a lot of the stuff where it's building up to this Hell Arisen thing, it's kind of spread out between multiple books, and I feel like there's not really a clear focus that says this is what's building to the next thing that you need to be reading. There's like so many scattershot. I mean, we've been enjoying Tales from the Dark Multiverse one-shots, but you need to be, dip your toes in that. You need to dip your toes in the infected stuff. You need to dip your toes.
I will say, in some ways, that does remind me of going back to Infinite Crisis before that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just all these random threads from all these various books.
It can have an appeal, but I guess it makes a difference when you're enjoying all of it. Because at least then it's like, well, it's all good, so I'm not going to complain that much. Whereas the quality throughout is, there's been some really good stuff, but there's been some not so good stuff. And
yeah, looking at you, Flash.
I wasn't really thinking the ongoing books, but yeah, sure.
Even the ongoing books have their problems with this.
So yes, and again, as each week passes, the timeline of all this happening while the doom signal's in the sky when Justice League's supposed to be happening at the same time, as Flash is in like a winter nightmare version of Central City, it just...
I'm telling you, we'll get there in this issue.
It's confusing me, damn it. Anyway, let's move on. Action Comics 1021. Unfortunately, John Romita Jr.'s on the art for this issue. I am desolate in my feelings about that.
Guest starring the Justice League and Young Justice, and you have Romita Jr. drawing.
Oh, I know.
This makes me big mad.
I would love to be excited because one of the covers, the Romita cover here is a horrible cover, but I do love the concept of Superman flying in front of the Young Justice team.
Sorry, are you telling me you don't love Romita Jr. during that Drake costume?
It needs to be kicked into a fire.
Now, the worst part about it is Superman's face. That is actually the thing my eye goes to there that's just making me wince and pain.
Yeah, it's kind of terrible.
Like, why does he draw Superman's face like he's got a 5 o'clock shadow? I don't understand. Anyway,
the speed lines from the wind. Come on, Pete.
It's better than when he drew him like a Neanderthal. The big old forehead.
We got Amethyst issue 2. Amy Reeder, of course, doing that. Obviously, it's issue 2. Don't have read issue 1 yet. Don't know how we feel about that yet. So we'll see.
Still excited.
Aquaman 58 is coming out. With I'll just look at this variant.
That's a lot. Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the solicit kind of reveals a little bit too much, and so I don't want to read it.
Yeah, I've not read it, so I'll stay away.
Stay away because it gives away something about the birth.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted that to be a surprise still. But what happens after that? And this goes into it. But I'm really liking Kelly Sue on Aquaman. So
yeah, Aquaman's one of my favorite ongoing books right now. So.
It's been really solid. I mean, I've had an issue here or there that I've not been as into, but overall,
well, like this Black Manta stuff's kind of more hit or miss. I mean, but we did get Mecha Manta versus a kaiju.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, like this. So there's still fun stuff in there, but
I want more stuff with all the gods.
Yeah, this Solicit, not to give anything away, it does delve into the more traditional Aquaman stuff with Orm and Atlantis. So,
which I'm cool to see how Kelly Sue deals with that. I'll say this as well. Like, I'll be surprised if that variant cover doesn't win the cover of the week when it comes out. Depends what else is out, obviously. But
do you know what's interesting? Because there's some of these like I think it's the Chew covers feel like they're just the knockoff Art Gem covers, right?
Yeah.
And this could feel like, well, it's just trying to be a Matina cover, but it's so good that it gets away with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's got that kind of digital sheen to it, but
I'd say it's a little bit too digitally clean.
It's like the Matina one. What's the other ones? Who does Middleton?
Yeah, but I feel like those two guys, there's a lot more shading. This could have definitely benefited from more shading, but that's not what they're going for. It's all the light, I think, that gives it that digital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we got Batgirl 45, and noticed that the cover was originally solicited with issue 44 for whatever reason, and is now this one.
I hadn't seen that cover. I really like it.
Yeah.
That's all right. The buildings in the background making the word Gotham. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat. Batman Beyond 42, Batman Curse of the White Knight issue 8. That's the final issue of that.
I can't talk about that book this week.
Yeah, we got an issue today to talk about. Batman's Grave number 6. That's halfway through that 12-issue book. Batman the Outsiders number 11. I noted when I was reading this week's issue that Dr. Soy was back after one issue off, and it's nice to see him still on issue 11. So, because Soy's great, and that book's really benefiting from his work.
It's also really interesting to see that has a landscape variant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's the wraparound variant. Yeah. It's a very nice variant as well. Now I'm looking at it full size.
I don't know if it is a wraparound or if they're just kind of
landscape
printing it that way. They have done that before.
They've done that like with the Darwin Cook.
Yeah, I think it doesn't specify wraparound.
I think the variants get away with it more than they used to now because they do that sort of, almost no text. They take away the logo.
The Virgin covers is what they call them, isn't it?
Because it's like that, I think you get away with the horizontal one more than you would otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's coming out. Batman Superman number 8.
I just looked at that cover and I realized it looks as if someone dipped the entire city of Kandor in the Lazarus pit. And I want to explain to them that's not how it works.
Oh, the main cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, the main cover. It's covered in like green goo.
It's great.
Yeah, right. Like
Nick Darrington on the art as well. So I mean, that's gonna look great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's not how it works.
You get Catwoman 21. Joel Jones still going, not final issue.
Do you know what? I'm not sure on that. I know it doesn't say final issue, but if you read just the first line, I will be surprised if Joel Jones is still on the next issue.
It's not a final issue of the book, though. Like the book seems to still be going, is what I mean.
Yeah, but I'll be surprised if it's not someone else on the next issue.
Because DC, I was going to say DC, to their credit, always puts final issue when it's the final issue.
Yeah. Also, if Catwoman doesn't end on an issue number divisible by 9, they're missing a...
Speaking of the Art Germ knockoffs, the variant cover for Catwoman is pretty nice. With a cat over her shoulders. That's really good.
Of course
Ian McDonald. I'm not familiar with that one. This is a new Art Germ knockoff.
Oh, Ian McDonald.
Looks good.
Yeah.
All right, so the listeners out there, viewers, should I get caught up on Catwoman or not? Because I have a whole digital backlog I'm going through, but I did like the stuff with the Creels in her. It was when we started getting off, on the side quests, so to speak.
It's funny,
let
actually.
me know if you guys kept up.
It's funny, actually, because I was just this week concerned thinking, maybe I'll binge Tomasi's Detective just because it's built up a little bit. Maybe it'll be an easier binge. And Tomasi said that to me. And what's funny about it is I might do it, I might not do it, but usually with other books that we've dropped, every so often there'll be someone saying, please catch up on this because it's really good, and you give it another chance. Not one person has tweeted at us, not one person has emailed us saying, hey, Detective's actually really good, you should give it another shot. No one said anything. No one's talking about it. So I don't know. But it's also Detective Comics, and I feel weird not reading this.
Yeah. And also it has a great Bermejo variant.
Oh, this one here, 21. Which I think we noted in the last Solicits that it seems to have went monthly now, but just again,
here. Although it's worth noting that because when we were told about this, it was everything's going monthly in next year, and it's not.
No, it's just Detective. Everything else is staying double shipping.
I mean, Batman's still going. Flash, Wonder Woman.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any others.
I think it's just those now. Yeah, I think it's just those three.
Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it's not a lot. It's whatever.
No.
We got Flash. So again, this is going back to the numbering continuing.
Yeah, real quick. Back to the Detective 1021.
Sure.
We all know I love Two-Face. Like, he's my favorite Bat villain next to Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Never once did I ever suspect he would have a church or a cult. That's not a Harvey Dent thing.
His Church of the Two. That's the name of it. The Church of the Two.
Church.
Right?
Why
right, Connor? It's not just me, right?
Church of Two.
Right.
Uh,
And that's why I shook my head at you, Pete, for saying you wanted to catch up.
Well, in my defense, I hadn't read this text.
Yeah.
I had just been seeing covers when I was updating my database. I was like, maybe I should just do a little binge read a Detective. So Flash 751 and Flash 752. It feels great to be saying those numbers.
Yeah, right.
We got Godspeed back.
Oh, that could be interesting.
Someone called Paradox, which makes me think it's the villain that we saw in the future in the prison.
Oh yeah.
Maybe. Kind of hinted that it might be Superboy Prime.
Of course it is.
Right? So
everyone's Superboy Prime to Matt.
Hey, remember when I said I don't want to read this book? Now this comes out and I'm like, I gotta keep reading.
Yeah.
Such a creature of habit.
We got Genlock issue 5 continuing, Green Lantern season 2 issue 2 coming out. Harley Quinn 71, still Sam Humphries on that. Hawkman 22, still Venditti.
So the Harley Quinn 71 has a Booster Gold appearance, and I might have to read it. That makes me so mad.
It's a Heroes in Crisis spin-off, I think, because they're doing a murder investigation.
Yeah.
Maybe that's probably put Matt off. I don't know.
Spiritual sequel.
Yeah, He-Man Masters Universe.
I understand that. But yeah, so
He-Man the Masters Universe issue 5 is out. Justice League Dark 21, which notably is Ram V on the writing there.
Yeah, I think there's been the last couple of issues. He's been co-writing with Tynan, but it feels like okay, they're just handing it over to him now. Yeah,
he may be making if Tynan's doing this event, and maybe it's leading into a new ongoing book for him, and he's doing Batman obviously, so he's got that going. Maybe he's leaving Dark. Maybe Dark's not going to be a Tynan book for much longer.
Which is disappointing because I've only tried like a handful of issues by Ram V, but I've never been that into them. I think he did the annual with the Department of Flowers that I never read. I think Matt read that.
I liked it.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe it'll still be good.
Oh, hopefully. Justice League's double shipping. That was the other one we couldn't think of.
There you go.
Yeah, Justice League 42 and 43, Venditti, of course, who's only a few issues in at this point, so we'll see how that goes. There's a Mikel Janin variant for the first one, which is...
Yeah, that's real nice.
Which is pretty. Just like Odyssey 19, that's still going. Not a final issue, bizarrely. I can't believe that's still going.
No, and I keep seeing Starfire, and it's a slap. Yeah, and all these Starfire covers are slapping my face.
Yes, I feel like...
Just read the book, Matt.
Mind your business, Connor.
I just want Jessica Cruz to be like a Green Lantern again and be in something that I want to read. That's all I want.
Yeah, like
all I want in life.
So in the Green Lantern Solicits, it talks about how Hal Jordan's back on Earth, and I was like, oh, is Morrison done? We can get back to Green Lantern I like, but then I realized no, this is Solicit for the Morrison book. So
you've got another year yet without another Green Lantern book, except Far Sector. So buckle in.
Surely 5G is going to have one.
Yeah, but from everything we've heard about 5G, it's not a rollout all in 1 month. It'll be kind of staggered.
Okay.
So I imagine it'll come after Green Lantern Season 2 ends. That's when we'll get that.
He's got his hold. I mean, 5G may not even start until the end of that anyway.
That's true. We were always told the start of 2021, which kind of lines up exactly with that book, more or less.
You got Legion of Superheroes number 5, still going. Lois Lane number 9. I'm just going to click on that cover there with the black and white on the red background. It looks very pretty. I'm into it. We got Looney Tunes 254, Metal Men number 6, end of that miniseries, Nightwing number 70. That nightmare.
Joker's coming for 4 Nightwings. 4.
We got Red to Delta 44, Connor's favourite book.
With an artist I don't recognise, actually, which is interesting.
Paolo Pantalina. Ruby 6, Suicide Squad number 4. I keep, because we've not got the first issue, I keep forgetting there's a Tom Taylor ongoing happening.
Really nice variant cover.
Oh, it is, yeah. It's very nice. I like that Deadshot especially.
Yeah.
Because they've got this sort of this smear over the light, so the light of his like he's his laser, eyesight.
Eye thing.
Yeah. It's kind of smeared to the side. Oh, I really like that. Very pretty, very pretty. Supergirl number 40, still Jody Houser. Happy to see that. Bizarrely though, that's moved a week again. That's in the 4th week in that month.
Oh, it's just what you need.
Yeah. So Supergirl's been moving all over the place for some reason recently.
With the most anime variant cover.
I hate that variant cover.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's very anime. Yeah. That's appealing to
Supergirl
fan base.
Supergirl and donuts go well together, but not on that cover.
I do love that they're embracing the donut love from Benoist a little bit. I'm not
more than the show has done in the last year.
There was a donut reference this season, I think.
There's been one donut reference.
Superman 21, Bendis still going. Jimmy Olsen number 9, that's still going too.
Jimmy gets a clue.
Oh god.
That cover.
Teen Titans 40, Terrifics 26, still not a final issue. I am very impressed that Terrifics is lasting to 26 at least.
More so, this is A Bold New Direction starts here.
Yeah,
so that's at least another arc, probably. So is up to 32? 32 issues, probably? Yeah. Interesting. Wonder Woman 753 and 754. I wish I wanted to read Wonder Woman right now. I really do. I really do. And also, I hate that variant on the first issue. That face is absolutely... Oh, I hate it.
For whatever reason...
That's Jay Lee. That's
okay,
style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Carl's Corrections, for some reason, is tanking right now. He's coming through really garbled.
However, is that... Which cover is this one? The... Robson Roca with Max... these pretty Maxima... Son of a...
Yeah. No, that Robson Roca and the thing he covers really nice in the second issue there.
Yeah. I've also, when I said Princess Maxima, I was like, oh, okay, well... And then I didn't read the full solicit, and then I look at the cover and go, oh no, that's clearly Maxima from Superman.
To be fair, out of the 2 issues, I really like 3 of those covers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the main cover for the first issue is fine. Yeah. No complaints. It's just, I mean, Jai Lee, I can like some of his artwork. It's not like I hate everything he does, but I hate that face on that Wonder Woman. I hate it. Anyway, moving on. Young Justice 14 is coming out. Sounds cool.
You want to tell me something wrong with that Red Arrow? Unless something's happened I'm unaware of.
There's a blonde Red Arrow there, which does not appear to be Emmy.
That's not Emmy.
Yes.
Don't do this to me, DC.
It does mention though that you were getting Dial H for Hero and stuff in that book as well. I mean, though, so...
just to point this out, the cover has a blonde female Red Arrow. It has Aqualad, Spoiler, and Sideways, and I'm actually really pumped for this new team that they're introducing here. Because I want me some more Sideways. I love Spoiler, as you know, and Aqualad is just fine. So it's nice to see some different characters get a spotlight here. Is this going to be like Steph's team? Is Steph going to have her own separate Young Justice team that he's going to introduce? Feels like it might be. Yeah, that's really cool. Basket Full of Heads number 6, ending that mini. Super cool.
No, that's got 7 issues.
Yep, there's 7. Sorry, I assumed 6 was the end. Not one more. Daphne Byrne issue 3, Dollhouse Family issue 5, Lola Woods issue 4, and Plunge issue 2 to round out all the Hill House books that will be ongoing by then. And then we got Far Sector number 5, of course, which we'll be doing issue 2 of today. And then we go into the Sandman universe stuff, so I'll just quickly sort of list these off. Books of Magic 18, The Dreaming 19, House of Whispers 19, John Constantine Hellblazer issue 5, The Last God number 6, Lucifer 18, and that wraps up the books. Obviously barring your facsimile editions and your trades and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
just a couple of things that I noticed weren't there that is kind of interesting. We still no word on the 3 Jokers, which again we were told would be early next year, and also still no Batman Catwoman. I know King was tweeting recently saying he has a date planned for it. They just haven't announced it publicly yet. But I was kind of expecting it in these solicits.
I'm not particularly worried though, because they did say we're pushing it till it's ready, so we can have the same artist. So
no, I wasn't saying that as a concern. Just I noticed every month I'm like, okay, this is going to be started now, and still not.
Yeah.
And Shazam, no solicit for Shazam. Finally, they're learning not to solicit Shazam until they're kind of getting caught up a bit.
And that's fine. Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. So that is the solicits for the month of March. Some interesting stuff in there, and we'll see how it goes going forward. So before we go on to anything else, though, I have a special treat for everyone.
This better not be bloody sales figures.
It's sales figures!
Yeah, so
we not have enough shit this week.
Apparently, Emmy's not on the Teen Titans anymore. According to a quick Google search.
Oh, Matt's doing some research. Huh?
Yeah.
Matt's doing more research than the rest of us do because we're lazy.
Well, I like Emmy, and so yeah.
But yes, we're looking at sales figures for the month of November 2019. And I hate to say this, but let me just double check my numbers here. Yes, there's only one DC book in the top 10. Marvel have got a stranglehold right now.
Did they have a lot of issue ones? No, I don't think they did actually. I don't recall a lot of issue ones.
I count 4 Marvel number 1s in the top 10.
I mean,
that's a reasonable amount.
It is. Yeah.
It's a reasonable
what
amount.
did they have? They had Yondu.
The Yondu's not one in the top 10. No.
That was an issue 1 though. Is all I'm saying.
That's true. That's true. And again, not in the top 10. They also had Scream: Curse of Carnage.
Oh. Sure.
They had Morbius number 1, which was also further down the list. They had 2099 Alpha.
They're all X-Men books, aren't they? They're
Annihilation,
Marauders, Excalibur, X-Men, and
let me finish this title, damn it, because I'm baffled by this. Annihilation Scourge Alpha is a book they've got a number 1 of at number 37.
I've just come to terms with Marvel that I like what I like over there, and I don't venture out too much. Like I'm behind on Immortal Hulk, behind on Cap, although Cap has been
excellent,
stupidly good. But yeah, so
the 4 issue 1s in the top 10 from Marvel. I'm gonna guess the order: X-Men, New Mutants, Marauders, Excalibur.
So you guessed X-Men, New Mutants, Marauders, Excalibur.
Yeah.
Okay. I can tell you that 2 of those are on the top 10.
Okay. What other X-Men books did they launch?
Well, there's also other X-Men books.
Fallen Angels.
Also, X-Men wasn't issue 1 this month; it was issue 2.
No.
How was it?
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. There's been other issues since.
Yeah.
Because they keep delaying them all, so I don't know.
All right, I'm going to put you out of your misery. Here's the top 10. Number 1 is New Mutants number 1 with 138,000. Number 2,
which is Hickman.
Yeah, and number 2 is X-Men number 2 with 117,000. So that's good for number 2. So go for it. Number 3 is Absolute Carnage issue 5 with 106,000.
Just to say, Matt, I don't think issue New Mutants. I don't think that is Hickman writing.
It's Hickman. He's doing X-Men and New Mutants.
Is he just? I thought he was just co-writing New Mutants and plotting.
Maybe then he's just co-writing, but I know he's responsible for it.
Yeah.
And then number 4 is X-Force number 1 with 105,000 copies. Number 5 is Fallen Angels issue 1. Also
that one.
For Marvel. 86,000 copies. I don't even know what that is.
What's that book about?
That is, it's got X-23 and Psylocke in. So it's another X-Men book.
I like X-23.
He said X-23 and got...
Yeah, that's why I started with her, because I knew Pete would be like, oh, maybe then. New Mutants is co-written by Ed Brisson. Yeah,
I am still pissed that X-23 by Tamaki only had 12, 13 issues.
Yeah. Also, Fallen Angels is written by Hill.
Oh, Bryan Hill?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I like
As
this
in Batman and the Outsiders, Bryan Hill?
As in
he's doing X23 and Psylocke and stuff. Okay, I'm tempted to try Fallen Angels.
And Young Cable, I think.
I don't know.
Whatever the hell's going on with Cable
I
now.
don't care about Young
I'm
Cable. Number 6 is Deadpool number 1 with 83,000. Okay. Yeah, so Deadpool got a new number 1. How many number 1s has Deadpool had? Probably at least a dozen.
That was particularly disappointing because that one was written by Kelly Thompson and it was kind of shite.
Oh, that's a shame, especially since they cancelled West Coast Avengers, which really upset me. And Captain Marvel's still going, though. I'll catch up on that at some point. But
once it started crossing over into whatever's going on right now, I was out. So, but it was only a couple issues, and now they're doing something, I guess, pretty cool. With the Star brand and stuff, so I might have to catch up as well.
It's always the problem with when you want to just read one comic by one creator you like, and it starts tying into things.
And it's a bit, Marvel are especially bad for doing it in like the first 6 or 7 issues of
it sucks. So that was Deadpool. Number 7 is Amazing Spider-Man 33 with 77,000 copies.
I think that was Gleason's first issue, and it's they're doing the 2099 stuff with Miguel. Thank you.
I think it's interesting though that Spider-Man, much like Batman, starts off really high, but by the time it gets a few, dozen issues in, it starts to get to about the 80,000 mark. I think it's interesting they both have a very similar pattern. And it kind of shows, it kind of shows you that Batman and Spider-Man's popularity are actually kind of I mean, I would argue Batman's a little bit more popular worldwide, but like not by much. Like they're very comparable.
Yeah, it's and Spider-Man hooks the younger generations like Batman did with us, our generation.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think they always go back and forth though. So and that's okay.
Yeah, I think Superman obviously is usually pretty popular, but I think Superman's, he's like a 3rd and 4th place, like in terms of popularity most of the time these days.
It's one of those where he's definitely like one of the most instantly recognizable and well known, but in terms of if people choosing their favorites, he's usually behind Batman and probably Spider-Man as well for a lot.
And it's gotten a lot murky in recent years because the Marvel movies have made people fans of so many, what was once smaller characters.
So what we're saying is get your shit together, DC.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, oh man, don't get me going.
Yeah, let's not start with this whole making Superman
I was
relevant
just saying, Shazam
bollocks.
2 was announced that they're gonna be doing that. And
that's true.
Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman 84 trailer looked dope as hell.
Notably, Shazam 2 is only about 4 months after the current date for Black Adam, which may be important.
Not that I want a connected universe, but I want them to have a lighter, fun tone that can be, that's malleable.
I wonder.
Someone I follow on Twitter said that they saw the James Gunn Suicide Squad script, and from what they read, it's hilarious, like legit. Like
I should hope so.
I mean, let's be honest. The bar for Suicide Squad after that last movie is so low that he could come in and make a 5 out of 10. It'd be much better.
Yeah. So but still, just to hear that it's funny. After that, the first crop were not. Yeah, they were humorless.
I think I agree. I don't need them all to be connected. Like Birds of Prey.
No,
I'm fine. Don't connect anything to it. Just have a Birds of Prey movie, and it's fine.
And then that's gotten comparisons to Rashomon, like that it's going to be told from different points of view.
That suddenly became more interesting.
Yeah, right? That went from a movie like. Okay, well, if we all know Harley's an unreliable narrator, but if all we're seeing in the trailers are her point of view, and then we get to see the others, and then go, that's not how it happened, and then we see everything play out again.
Gail Simone's been really hyping it up, saying she's obviously seen a lot more than what we have.
Yeah, I hate all the trailers. I hate the new one at the Games Awards. I'm just worried. I'm just super worried that these characters are. Oh, what just happened?
What? Nothing happened.
No?
Oh, okay. It was the Epic Games Store just popped up, and it was just a big black window saying connection lost. I'm like, whoa, connection lost on what? Who was it? Skype? Was it? What got lost?
Nothing happened.
We're both here. I looked at Connor to make sure we didn't freeze.
Epic Games Store just been a dick. But hey, what was I saying?
But anyways, with Birds of Prey, the new trailer you hated. So
Yeah, I'm worried that, especially with Cassandra Cain, especially from the glimpses we've gotten of her in the trailers. I feel like they just wanted a kid, regardless of what the character's actually like, just so they could. It's like, that's a name people recognize, and put her in, and their character's going to be nothing like Cassandra Cain, and that bugs me because.
Well, but again,
that movie though.
But we've gotten nothing to suggest. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I will. So here's the thing. They also announced a new date for the Flash movie for like May 2022 or July. So yes, I highly doubt they're going to hit that because that Flash movie's been through so many directors and so many restarts.
So Pete pointed out in the group this week that they announced Ezra right as either
it was the day
Flash went into production.
It was the day of the pilot. It was the day the pilot aired.
Day of the pilot.
Yeah,
there you go.
We've spoken about this before.
And then I watched episode 6 of The Mandalorian, directed by Rick Famuyiwa, and the fact that they couldn't get something worked out with that guy.
Oh yeah, he did Dope, right? That movie.
Yeah, Dope. Yeah.
Great, loved
Fantastic. That's what I told my wife this morning. And then I found out he played one of the X-Wing pilots at the end.
All three of them are directors from the show.
Right. Well, I recognize Filoni, but
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't at first. It's just without the hat.
Without the hat with the wolf on it, like what are you gonna do? But anyways, the fact like this, I don't want a Flash movie now, and I love the Flash. Right? He's like in my top 5 favorite characters, and
yeah,
I don't trust them with it.
So someone pointed out to me that if the Flash TV show's still going, and it might be because CW, right? Mm-hmm. It will be ending season 8 if it hits that date by the time the movie comes out.
Why would anyone give? I mean, don't get me wrong, Flash has not been that good, but why would anyone give a damn about one movie that's probably going to be mediocre at best?
Yeah.
When there's 8 seasons of The Flash where at least some of it's good.
Yeah, some of it is, right? Like there's solid stuff early on.
Actually, Matt, have you watched Crisis on Infinite Earths yet?
I have not. I'm thanks to hockey. Yeah. I am behind on Watchmen. I'm behind on
Watchmen's so good.
I know. But I went to a live game on Tuesday. I had a friend come in from Maine. He had never been to a pro hockey game. So he's like, I'm taking you. So I went and got to see the Knights versus the Blackhawks. Messed me up the whole rest of the week because it got me out of my sleep schedule. Because once you go to a live hockey game and they win 5-1 and 4 of your favorite players score a goal, you can't go to sleep that easy.
It doesn't even have to be anything that extreme, Matt. Like sometimes if I just watch something I really like, that's me jazzed for a couple hours. I can't go to sleep now.
That was me the night I first watched Mr. Robot. I put it on at 3 a.m. thinking I'll fall asleep during this. It's fine. And then 5 minutes in, I was like, okay, I'm awake.
I'm behind all those. There's movies I want to watch that I've missed over the summer that are out now.
Yeah, all I'm going to say about Watchmen is that because it's the finale's coming up this weekend, right? So the second last episode, I won't spoil anything about it. All I'll say is, you know how Dr. Manhattan in the comic, right? The way he perceives time is like he experiences everything at the same time. Right. This episode uses that as a narrative structure device, and it is freaking beautiful.
You know what I love is that both Doomsday Clock and Watchmen act as sequels to the comic.
Yeah, very different.
Both took vastly different takes, and they're both equally valid.
Yep.
Right? One's really valid for storytelling, of what that Earth is. The other one is storytelling in comics through the
Doomsday Clock. Doomsday Clock is about what it did to the comic book industry and what it did to DC Comics, right? So it makes it feel super valid by mixing it with everything. Like it's not just a cheap thing to me. And then the TV show is like, well, what actually happens in the future of this world?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, how many? I thought it was 10 episodes.
Nah, it's 9.
9.
It's 9. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So finale's this weekend.
So I'm on the one post the nostalgia episode. I started that on Tuesday before I left for the game.
Yeah. Well, you're not that far behind because that's episode 7 and 8 was the last one, so you're not too far behind.
I have that, and I need to finish that. I'm behind on wrestling. I'm behind on just about everything, except for comics, which I got through.
It's all right. About half an hour before we started this, I realized that it's like Saturday evening and. Mm-hmm. I have until Wednesday to watch all the Star Wars movies.
See, we've been doing that, so we're good. I just have Solo and Last Jedi, and
it kind of time snuck up on me, and I didn't realize that it was next week. This week basically. I've got less, like 4 or 5 days or whatever.
Yeah, Witcher's next week as well.
Oh my god, I know.
Yeah. See,
Matt, make alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized on Thursday we were exactly a week away from Star Wars, and it instantly made my 2 shit days at work go quicker because I was by myself.
Because I'm going to the triple bill, so I don't have to watch those 2 beforehand.
Nice.
Which is conveniently the same day I'm doing my 12-hour Christmas stream, so if anyone wants to come and hang out on next Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday the 18th.
Or you can go watch Star Wars.
Not if you're in the US, you can't. Not on the Wednesday.
That's true.
That's true.
So you're all free.
But if you're international, go see Star Wars, guys. Here's the other
better
thing.
than watching Pete.
Not to go into this. I understand where Pete's coming from about being tired of Star Wars. However, I have a love of Star Wars that I'll talk to Connor, I'll talk to Alden, I'll talk to our friend Dan. But basically, if I don't know you, I don't care about your Star Wars opinions.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've reached a little bit towards the dark side of Pete being like, it's Star Wars. But I still have.
Honestly, Matt, I'm at that point now where I'm that with everything. Like, and that sounds really jaded.
Yes, Pete,
but
that's what makes you a robot. Pete.
No,
I
get it. Like,
so,
I am so because the Ghostbusters trailer came out, right? The new Ghostbusters, and it looks fine. It looks perfectly fine. Here's the problem, though, is that all of these franchises keep coming back, and I'm officially at the point where I don't want to see more Ghostbusters, more Terminators, more anything. I love all these original things. All these movies that come back, they all don't justify why they exist on their own. They're all just nostalgia trips, right? To some extent. And
however, that Ghostbusters one, though, if it was just by itself and not tied to Ghostbusters, I'd be excited for it.
Yeah,
the way that it looks.
You're saying if it was just a Stranger Things style movie about kids finding this old tech.
But yeah, that's my jam, though. So, however, tying Ghostbusters into it, that's fine. Because our friend James called it Super 8 meets Ghostbusters, and then redacted that and turned it into Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters.
Especially since one of the actors is actually from Stranger Things.
Right. Sign me up for that, though. Right? Like, that's my
don't get me wrong. Before people call me on my shit, look, there are exceptions where the comeback movies do exceed or justify their existence. The main exceptions to this, I'll give you 3 examples. The Planet of the Apes trilogy is phenomenal and outweighs the original movies.
They did their own thing, and that's not nostalgia, though. That's not like, hey, remember this? This is Caesar's Rise. Like,
they were just fantastic.
God, those movies are so good.
Right. Second example, Mad Max Fury Road is phenomenal, and actually, and I love The Road Warrior. Mad Max Fury Road's a better movie, and it's just a straight up great action movie.
Well, and it helps that it's what's that director's name? George Miller.
George Miller, yeah.
You feel like it's George Miller looking at it through his own like he's editing his own creation, going, this is how we do this now.
And then the third example I'll give you is probably Creed, out of recent stuff, because Creed was exceptionally good.
Right, which Creed 2 falls into the trap that you're talking about more.
Yeah, it does.
Like, hey, this is just Rocky Horror in the modern, whereas the first Creed that was in my top 5 movies of that year. Yeah. Because it's a super solid movie.
So there is examples of them kind of justifying themselves and being great, just standalone films. Right. There is.
And I just feel like the excitement, so like I didn't end up seeing Dark Fate, like, because I wasn't jazzed on that first trailer, and then I heard, like, it's okay. You don't need to rush out to see it.
It's better than the other sequels post T2. It absolutely is, but it still feels like, no, it's just here because we want a new Terminator movie, and it can't escape the nostalgia of, like the example I always use is like, so Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, right? Sarah Connor has this like metamorphosis where by the time we get to T2 she's changed so much, but in Terminator Dark Fate, despite the fact that it's been 20 plus years since T2, Sarah Connor's the exact same as T2, because that's the Sarah Connor we recognize, and we don't want to have anything that we don't recognize.
Do you know what's funny is I was talking about this with someone the other day, and how Empire is in very similar ways a great sequel and doing things so different. The entire structure, the big battles at the start instead of the end, all these beats, and it is like just complete opposite in every way.
And again, to get to real quick, while I have this thought for Star Wars, because, people love to beat up on The Last Jedi for not being their Star Wars. Not like Pete, who goes at it from a critical, because Pete's one of the people that, I'll listen to his complaints about it because they're not grounded from a place of, this is not my Star Wars. He just doesn't like the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's fair. Like, right?
I don't have a Star Wars.
No, but Empire Strikes Back is equally as different from A New Hope as Last Jedi was to Force Awakens. But we didn't have social media in 1980.
Yeah,
for people to complain about.
For me, it's a case of like, yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it's different from Force Awakens and it's not just Empire Strikes Back again, but it's just that doesn't necessarily make it good as well by default. Like, it has to also be good.
But,
like, there's,
but the point is that people go, oh, it's so different. They split up the trio, and they did that in Empire as well. Oh, well, it's just a long chase scene. Well, Empire's kind of a long chase scene.
For the record, I prefer the original Star Wars over Empire because I prefer them being together. One of the things I don't like about Empire is that it splits them up.
Oh, but that's a fair reason to prefer one or the other. And I don't begrudge you that opinion. I think you're wrong, but I don't begrudge you your opinion.
And to tie this back into the nostalgia thing, I get so much. I had a friend I got into a real big disagreement about the Ghostbusters because his whole trash was not my Ghostbusters. And I was like, bro, you defended the Melissa McCarthy one. Like, you said it was a good movie, which it's fine. I have more of a problem with that one playing off of the nostalgia. And hey, look, Ghostbusters.
I mean, hey, the new one will probably be better. It probably will be. And it might even be great. It might even be one of the exceptions where it completely justifies itself.
Right.
But at this point, I can't just let myself get taken over by the nostalgia hype, because at this point I have been let down too many, and not even and not in extreme ways for the most part. Yeah, Halloween 2018 was a major bummer for me, but it's not like I come out a lot of these feeling like, oh my god, they've completely. I just come out going, yeah, that was fine. It was okay, but it never was anything special.
Just do what I do and buy into the Paul Rudd hype. Because that man does no wrong.
I think ultimately it comes down to all the people who are like, "Oh, this ruined that franchise." No, it didn't. Go and watch the movies that you do like. They're still there. None of these films ruin their franchise, but collectively they're ruining mainstream cinema because there's nothing else to go see.
All right, calm down, Scorsese. All right, we get it.
Can we just talk about which? I don't know which awards it was, but. The Irishman got nominated for Best Stunts, and John Wick 3 didn't.
I've not even seen John Wick 3 or The Irishman, and I know that's silly.
He kills a dude with a book in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. Pete always brings up the Ron Swanson quote about awards, right?
Well, yeah.
But I'm starting to get there more, and like the Golden Globes, just those. Like, the Golden Globes aren't put together by people that do movies. It's put together by people who want celebrities at an event.
They want to throw a party. And
exactly. Yet, I feel like sometimes the Oscars fall into that trap, too. And, I haven't seen The Irishman. I don't want to see The Irishman. I'm sure it's fine. But that feels like an Oscar movie just because of its pedigree.
I mean, when it inevitably gets nominated, I will force myself to sit down and watch it because do that.
But from what I hear, like it's fine, but the visual effects are terrible. But I can see it getting nominated for visual effects because it's The Irishman, and goes into the John Wick.
You mean like how it got nominated for stunts?
Exactly, and John Wick is a movie that was directed by a stunts guy. If any movie deserves a nomination for stunts by the guilds.
Yeah, I mean, I've not even seen John Wick, but I'll say this: if I don't necessarily think John Wick probably deserves a lot of other nominations for any other categories, but if there's one thing it should get nominations for, it's probably the stunts and action stuff that it's doing.
And also, the Joker got nominated, and I can't tell you outside him getting hit by the car what other stunts were in that movie.
I don't know. And for the record, that Ron Swanson quote, because Matt brought it up and didn't say what it was, is awards are stupid, but they'd be less stupid if they went to the right people.
Right. So, but anyways, that Ghostbusters trailer, it was a nice surprise over the week. It
looks fine. I'm a bit of a jaded asshole when it comes to this stuff, but I feel like
shit.
But here's the thing, people always say there's always been sequels and things have always been remade and stuff, and that's true, that there's always been some of that, but I always go back to this. Imagine living from 1977 to about 1985, right? And just think of all the things that started in that time period, right? Think, in that period, you had the start of Star Wars, the start of Alien, the start of Back to the Future, the start of the Terminator, the start of Nightmare on Elm Street, the start of Friday the 13th, the start of Halloween, I could keep going. The amount of things that we are still trying to copy today that started in that 8-year period is nuts.
Right, but how many Friday the 13th did we get through the 80s?
Oh, we got 8 of them in the 80s.
Right, exactly.
I have no problem with sequels. I think the problem is that we keep trying to go back to things from decades ago because It's the same problem that wrestling's had for a while. And I'm not trying to listen to the wrestling debate, but if you look at WWE, like, they don't make new stars. They just keep banking on the old ones that were popular in the 90s, and it's starting to really hurt.
They'll take a concept like Hulk Hogan and then do it in the early 2000s and make it John Cena, and then they'll take that same template in the 2010s and do it with Roman Reigns and act like we don't know what's going on.
I think it's I think like weirdly, John Wick is one of those new franchises that has kind of started recently and it's earned its sequels, and now we've got all the knockoffs, some of which are better than others. I watched Anna the other day, which it's all right. It's really kind of generic, but the action's kind of fun.
I don't know what Anna is, but
it's the Besson one.
Oh, okay, okay. John Wick. I really like John Wick 2. I liked the first one. I didn't necessarily get quite the hype at the time. I'd probably respect it more if I went back and watched it again. But
when you see all three, so I watched 1, 2, and then went and saw 3. When you watch them all together, it's glorious.
But but the point I'm making is I do respect it because it is something new. And you're like, oh, it's just a revenge. Yeah, I would much rather than a new Terminator movie. I would much rather someone made a new movie about do your killer robot movie in whatever way. And sure, people are going to compare it to Terminator because you can't make a shark movie without being compared to Jaws. You can't make a space opera without Star Wars and Star Trek probably being brought up because it's just the way people are. They're always going to compare it to similar things from before.
But just do enough to differentiate it.
Yeah, do your thing. Do your own version of it. One of my favorite things in the world is Firefly. Of course, Star Wars gets brought up when Firefly is brought up. But you know what? I love Firefly. It's my thing.
Yeah. He says as we're about to discuss characters that have been around for 80 years.
Well, yeah, and then also the Mandalorian comes and does Firefly. You know what I mean? It's a Western in space.
Comics are kind of a weird beast, though, when you bring them into this conversation.
I was just kind of kidding.
But I would be perfectly okay. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I'm there's a lot of talent behind the new Batman movie, and what's the other one that year? Suicide Squad, James Gunn. So you got James Gunn, you got Matt Reeves. I just said the Apes trilogy is one of the few exceptions to these things coming back and being better. He did 2 of those. Those 2 movies have insane cast, insane creators behind them. They should be amazing, and they'll probably come out and make me a believer. But right now, I'm not super hyped, and I think it's just because I've been beaten down so much, not only just with DC movies, but just with superhero movies in general.
I think that's kind of weirdly why I'm kind of excited for Birds of Prey, in that it just looks fresh. It looks different. It looks like. I don't know. It just looks like something new. It doesn't look like just another superhero movie.
Yeah, so the Black Widow trailer came out last week too, and
oh yeah, sure.
For the first time in a very long time when it came to Marvel movies, I was kind of like, huh.
I got less interested as it went on because there was a point towards the end when she was flying through the sky and it was this big CG battle. I'm like, she's a spy. Why is there a flying through the air CG battle?
Well, I was like, but at that point I was kind of like, huh. Okay, I mean, I'm going to go see it, but I don't have that excitement.
And I like Florence Pugh, so I'm happy Florence Pugh is going to be leading it. But
presumably she's the next Black Widow, right?
Presumably.
Yeah, well, she's playing Yelena, so in comics. Yeah, it does a lot of cool spy stuff, and then Hopper / Hellboy decides to start making jokes, and it kind of loses its tone.
It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, it basically says, hey, it's just a Marvel movie again.
Yeah, but in that overt sledgehammer way, not so much in the if that was Robert Downey Jr. delivering those lines, you're kind of like, oh, it's Tony Stark, right?
It's kind of like
he's not the same.
It's kind of like the Wonder Woman 84, right? Which I think looks fun. I'm not super excited, but I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I'm sure it'll be entertaining. But there's that cynicism. Okay, I get that they're doing the swap thing where now Steve is the fish out of water because he's never been in the 80s, and that's whatever, right? The problem is that I still have this, you just wanted to bring him back, and you'll have some bullshit reason why he's back, but he got fridged.
Magic.
He should be dead, all right?
Yeah, but she's Spider-Maning on lightning bolts, so screw it, I'm in.
That is true. Hopefully the third act's better than the first, because I really like the first movie until that final fight.
I need to rewatch that, because it's been since the theater.
Yeah.
I do remember liking it.
That trench scene is one of the best superhero movie moments in the last.
I'm a little scared that I won't like it as much if I watch it again. I've not seen it since the theaters as well.
That's why I haven't, because I feel like I'm gonna see all. That's why I haven't watched Aquaman also, because I'm like, no man, that's Jeff Johns' Aquaman.
Nah.
James Wan's decent, and then I remember the parts that even now, I'm kind of like...
Even without rewatching it, Aquaman's went from a 6 to a 5 for me, I think. Just with time.
I was high on it, but yeah, I
go back and watch our review. Matt loved it at the time.
I know, Matt was like, that's an 8 out of 10, baby. This is masterpiece.
To be fair, I think I said 7.5, because that's my thing.
He's like, this is the superhero version of Das Boot meets Titanic meets something else.
I did say that, but I didn't realize what those movies were at the time. That's fine. I just associated them with water and thought it fit. So anyways... Well, this was a long side.
It was.
Conversation, but I think it needs to be said because of the current state we're in that DC, I feel that they're turning it around. Because we all love Shazam, right, Connor? I know me and Pete liked it.
No, I saw it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think it's solid.
I enjoyed it.
It's very dependable and enjoyable.
Yeah. So
it never goes above and beyond, though.
I think the heart for it might put it above Wonder Woman for me, but I think I need to rewatch both before I can make a definitive statement on it.
So that's my whole thing. I feel like they're making progress, and despite a select fan, we need to give them a name like the Fandom Menace has for Star Wars fans. But despite those detractors,
the Snyder cutters, I don't know.
Snyderites. Like
the Snydies. Anyway, well, the fellow part of making this movie stuff is that Newsarama has this like rolling list they update constantly with here's all the superhero movies coming out in the next few years, and I will say that starting in 2021, Marvel has 4 movies every year and DC has 3 every year, and I'm like, holy shit, that's 7 between just the 2 big companies.
Add into Marvel also the Disney Plus shows that are going to become canon,
and necessary by all accounts for some.
Yeah, so that's what I said by canon. They're the next part of the story.
Yeah, the buzz is that because they said that the Scarlet Witch one would tie into Doctor Strange. The speculation is that she'll actually maybe be one of the villains in Doctor Strange. Like her story will lead to her going nuts or whatever.
I hope so, because that would make that character interesting.
Yeah,
she's yet to be interesting since
the whiplash. If you happen to skip that, I don't do Disney Plus. I don't need that. I don't watch TV. I'm not interested in the TV show. I just want to see the movies. Man, you're screwed.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But if they adopt from the Mando and they're only a half hour long, or as long as they need to be, versus the CW method of them all being 44 minutes.
I think they said that most of them are going to be 6 hours long. Well, that means 6 1-hour episodes, or
cut up however.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised this episode of The Mandalorian was 45 minutes long. And I loved every minute of it. So when the next one ends up being back at 30 minutes, it'll make me, longingly want the next one to be longer. So it's kind of smart.
They're moving next week. It's coming out on Wednesday, not Friday.
Because of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because I will come straight home from the comic shop to watch the Mando. It's what we do. My wife changed her profile picture on Disney Plus to Baby Yoda, and I changed mine to Hulk. So now we're both green.
Everyone with a Baby Yoda right now.
Well, she loves
Baby Yoda. Paige is playing like Sims, like 4 or whatever, and she covers it because they added Baby Yoda into the Sims.
All right, now we've gone too far.
It's not a playable thing. It's like a statue furniture decoration. But I was like, right, okay, it's everywhere.
Let me just rewind back, because I hadn't quite done the top 10 of the sales. I didn't finish the top 10.
Connor, we almost did it
before all that, right?
I thought we got away with it.
So let me just round out the top 10. Number 8 was the one non-Marvel or DC book, Undiscovered Country, number 1, 73,000 copies. Number 9 was Batman 82, the only DC book in the top 10, 71,000 copies. And then number 10 was Amazing Spider-Man 34, the next issue, with 67,000 copies. So in terms of DC, obviously the next Batman was soon, and then Justice League and the Von Freeze White Knight sort of pops up.
The usual suspects.
Yeah, there was nothing really sticking out beyond anything. But again, worth mentioning, the cardstock variants, because they're a different price, do actually separate in the listings. So a lot of the books have got their numbers split by about 20-30% of their totals to that separate listing. So that's what it is. But that's sales, I guess. The timestamp for this is going to be weird, because I'm going to be like, okay, sales start here, but most of it's actually a talk about the current state of superhero movies and nostalgia reboots and shit. So there
no one
we
cares
go.
about sales anyway, so this is better.
They care about sales. There was a question last week saying they enjoy the misery on your faces as I give you sales figures.
Well, you know what? When they said that, I adapted. 'Cause that's what I do. And look what happened. I incepted Pete to talk about nostalgia movies.
I'll always go back to the sales at the end, though. You're just delaying everything.
Yeah, I know, but it keeps me and Connor not from having miserable faces, denying that person what they want.
All right, so let's talk about comic books, then, shall we? Let's talk about this week's books. And my oh my, what a list of books it is. So, Detective Comics 1017 is going to kick off the books. Tom Taylor writing with Fernando Blanco on the art. And I really hope this is a test. I really hope this is them seeding the idea that maybe he'll take over from Tomasi when Tomasi's done.
So the Alfred story in this, Tom Taylor, just those two stories, Tom Taylor's making a push at becoming my favorite Batman writer ever.
After 2 issues.
Just because he writes a Batman that I like. There's a moment in here where Batman has a sly, smart-ass smile. I've never seen that before. In that way.
And notably, that sly smile is when he's admitting to because the kid says, not to offend you, Ethan, but my favorite superhero has always been Superman. And Batman smirks and says, "Yeah, don't tell anyone, but he's mine too."
Mine too, right? And however you choose to read that line, it has nothing. That kid could have said Wonder Woman, could have said Flash, Green Lantern, whatever, and it still would have affected me the same because I was not expecting a smirk out of Batman. And just the fact that I feel like Taylor, subverts expectations. I guess that's the right phrase of Batman that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed this issue. If you guys can't tell.
Yeah, the premise of this issue. After a little flashback showing how Martha had to convince Bruce to come to an orphanage when Martha and Thomas were still alive,
right.
the Martha orphanage, because it's like, no, we have to give to those less fortunate, blah blah blah, the usual sentiment, and it basically sets up the idea that the orphanage is important to the Wayne family, and the main plot of the issue is that there's a runaway from the Wayne orphanage, and Lucius brings this to Bruce's attention. Bruce looks into it, but it's suspicious because there's been multiple runaways, and Bruce has to find the kid and also see what's going on. Why is there multiple runaways? Right. What's going on here that's shady?
At the same time, you have a group of Black Masks guys, trying to blow up Gotham. So Batman's doing this on 2 fronts. So he brings in Damian, which I feel has gotten lost in King's Run. We don't see too much of Batman interacting with Damian. And Taylor even brings that up here, where he's like, Damian gets upset. He's like, oh, so you'll go and hang out with these orphan kids when he's like, Damian, I know where this is going, and let's not do it right now. So I like that.
Yeah, and Lucius is like, you don't have to sneak in the middle of the night as Batman. Your name's on the building. You can just show up in a suit, and they'll let you in.
And they'll let you do whatever you want because it's yours.
Right. I also feel like this is the first taste we're getting of Lucius as Alfred, and I can't say I hate
absolutely
it.
Yeah.
So, and I also feel like if people aren't in the know and just pick up this issue, right, they don't follow it as much as we do. It still fits that Lucius is there because it's dealing with the Wayne Foundation stuff. Yeah. It fits in both.
And we get a sense of time passing as they're looking for the kid. Both Batman and Damian are it goes through over a full week, and eventually it keeps going. The temperature's
colder each time, and I have no idea what that is in real temperature.
Well, 33, 34, 0 to put that in perspective, Connor.
Right, so
32.
So cold as balls. Is
yeah, cold as balls. When it gets to 10 degrees, I'm sure that's like minus 10 or 15 or something like that.
It is.
It was
minus 12.
Minus 12. Yeah. Oh, I said 10 or 15. I think that was a good guess.
I mean, we've both been in minus 12 enough. It's cold as balls. Joel, it's just been snowing here today, and it's shit.
It was 48 degrees the other night, and I was freezing. So plug that into your little translator and see what that is, so you guys can laugh at me.
48, did you say?
Yeah.
That's like 9 degrees. That's.
Yeah. I'm comfortable at 9.
That's t-shirt weather.
No, outside it's not. I'm not wearing a t-shirt outside in 9 degrees.
I do. Yeah.
Not at 9.
Anyway, this issue also, so the runaway kid's also an immigrant whose parents have passed away.
Yeah, so
trying to immigrate.
It also gets into a little bit of brace yourself, folks. A little bit of politics. There's a little bit of politics in here.
But I also feel like Taylor handles that magnificently because it never feels like preachy. But Batman's like, no, we're gonna help this kid no matter what.
And that's the key thing about the temperature counting down is that ultimately the kid's out in the streets. It's getting colder and colder, and when they find him, he is freezing to death. They're rushing him to the hospital. They're trying, and this is when we get the conversation where Batman smirks and he's trying to keep him going, but he dies at hospital anyway. When they get to the hospital, it's too late, and the kid dies, and it's a really sad moment. This is a kid who's had a couple of pages, and Tom Taylor makes me upset that he's passed away.
Every time Tom Taylor does a Batman issue, he makes me feel things. I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why he's jumping into my favorite Batman writer, just because he's finding room to tell these emotional stories, and a character that I feel so many writers take like this clinical, scientific, cold, take on Bruce's character, and this injects much needed warmth and care.
And if this is the only Tom Taylor I'd ever read, there would be maybe a concern that he's good at these one-off stories, but would he be good at a serialized long-form story? But the thing is I've read tons of him doing I've read X20, it wasn't X23, it was all new Wolverine to be exact. Right. It was X-Men Red. Friendly Foes of Spider, not Friendly Foes. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which just ended this week. So screw you, Marvel. Yeah. So I've read enough of him doing longer stories that I know he can do that too. This is super. And obviously he goes back to the guy running the orphanage, and it turns out he's been giving up kids and making sure the records aren't there for these kids.
So it's not just that, is that the records are so meticulous, but it doesn't matter. Like, these kids just vanished, and so that's where Bruce goes in there, not Batman. Bruce Wayne goes in to talk to the guy
and punches him. Yeah, he punches him in the face.
And Damian's like, you're not in your cowl, right?
But basically, what finds him out is that there's photos of the groups of the kids, and there's just kids that don't have records. Because like you're saying, the records are so meticulous. But if you actually look at the photos, there's kids that are just not accounted for.
And I think what I like is we don't see this, but obviously, Bruce doing his detective work. Has cared enough to check these photos and realize that these are missing files, as opposed to just, here's probably a few hundred files at least, right?
Well, and it also goes back to his mother's telling him that these kids also need care and love, and I know it makes you feel sad, right? But that just means that your heart's in the right place. Is that you can feel this, and that ties back to the end where these kids are already at their lowest, and you have this guy exploiting them, and it pisses Bruce off, so much that he punches the dude out, like he's Batman, right? Like no one's there. So
it's one of those where, it's one punch. It's believable that, any guy can throw a punch like that because this guy's nothing special.
No, but yeah,
he's kind of channeling it all into it.
It plays well, and then at the end, he sort of joked that he'd build a new wing earlier on the orphanage because he's going to give them all this new science teaching equipment.
That's another part that I love. That he goes, I'm bringing this science, equipment, and we're going to do all this fun stuff. And he goes, oh man, you managed to camouflage it with ice cream.
Yeah.
He also brought an ice cream
and the guy's
shop.
like, I don't know if we're gonna have space for all this. He's like, don't worry about it. We'll just build a new wing.
But he's named a new wing after the kid that died, though. It says he saved lives, or he saves lives.
That made me a little bit dusty.
Because that was the thing. He ran away because he knew something was going on. He knew
something wrong.
He didn't want to be next.
Yeah, and by doing so, he brought this to their attention. So he did literally save lives.
Yeah,
because now this stops.
Exactly.
Damian looks so proud at the end.
Yeah,
he does.
Super touching story, super touching Batman story. And Blanco's art is pretty solid, especially stuff in the snow. I really liked
it's gorgeous, isn't it? I think he does that mood atmosphere so well.
Yeah, I think that's where it really excelled. Is that countdown over the days as the snow's coming down.
Yeah, it never sacrifices your facial expression either, which is so important in a story like this.
No, it's beautiful stuff. So Matt, what are you giving Detective Comics 1017?
This is getting a 9. I really enjoyed this issue.
Connor?
I'm going to give it a 9.5.
I am going to go with a 9 myself. So, surprise, surprise, Tom Taylor wrote a comic and it got high marks.
And now it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point. But at the same time, he's just a really good writer.
I'd like to think we're fair though, because there are creators we love that we have given some shit scores to in the past.
But also we weren't like hot on every single issue of Deceased. Like we more or less enjoyed them, but it wasn't like
they weren't all 9s. They weren't all like knocks out of the park.
Yeah, I think the lowest were probably like high 7s, maybe 8s.
Yeah.
So, but no, he's I say he's the patron saint of comics on Multiverse at this point. Tom Taylor.
And I still sometimes think about that Supergirl story he did in that Christmas anthology a couple of years ago.
I tracked it down.
It's so good. It's like 10 pages, if that.
Yeah. It's so good. I love it. So that's Detective Comics 1017 or 1017. 1017 sounds weird. I'm not saying them that way. We're in a new dawn because we've never had 4 digits before on these comic numbers.
I think if you're rattling through enough numbers, 1017's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing this one issue here, I think you have to do the 1017.
So next up we'll have Superman issue 18, Bryan Michael Bendis writing with Ivan Reis on the art, and this is the issue in which Superman tells the world that he is Clark Kent. He gives that out to the world, and so many things I love about this issue. I love the proud look on Lois's face as he's telling everyone this, and I love the idea that he makes a point of telling both Perry and Jimmy first, and in private before the public.
Well, he tried to tell Jimmy.
Oh, he tried to tell Jimmy. I mean, I love that
when
Perry.
You're married to Lois Lane, like.
Yeah, Lois argues that she's known Jimmy for longer, so it was more her secret to tell. So Jimmy acts surprised for a second, and and Clark's like, "You knew, didn't you?" He's like, "Yeah, since this morning, Lois told me."
So, this was something I was totally against, right? Because I like that you almost get a concept of the Trinity with Clark, Cal, and Superman, right? There's this Kryptonian heritage, there's this Kansas heritage, and then there's who he created himself to be, right? And throw this all out the window now, because they're all one and the same.
Yeah, for me,
but then as I get, go ahead,
I was just going to say it's a natural evolution that I think had to happen at some point.
And that's exactly. So as I am reading this, Bendis is slowly winning me over by almost taking each of these arguments and breaking them down over a page, right? Yeah. And then he interjects the stuff that happened with Jor-El and about all the secrets and all the harm that caused, and how basically these secrets are what caused the end of Krypton.
And also, he says at one point when he's actually making his speech that one of the reasons why he kept everything secret is to protect those around him. But he admits, he's like, well, it's for a long time now, everyone's known that Lois is close to Superman. Even if she's married to Clark Kent, everyone knows she's someone who's close to Superman. That Jimmy knows Superman. That the Daily Planet is associated with Superman. They're not safe anyway. They all know that he's even if they don't know it's Clark Kent, they know that Superman has a tie to all these things. So the reason to keep it safe. And I love that the Perry finding out scene is silent. It's just those very wide panels of Clark
the white panels
opening his shirt.
Like you're being a voyeur.
Yeah.
Yep.
Opening his shirt and Perry coming in to hug him.
Legit brought a tear to my eye. I'm reading this first thing Wednesday morning, so I can't help myself. Not gonna wait for the physical copy. I'm gonna pick up the digital. And I'm sitting there on my couch, and I feel wetness go down my cheek as I go through that page, and I was not expecting that. Because you're thinking Perry, this gruff, this, gonna be mad at Clark for lying to him, right? And then he hugs him. And, oh man, it's such a great page.
It's phenomenal. And you have this whole scene with Adam Strange where he's going to Adam Strange to talk about what he's thinking about doing. And he's like, I have to talk about, my day job, and he mentions he has a desk. And he's like, you have a desk? If at one point Adam Strange's like, you have a secret identity? Are you Batman? Are you also Batman?
Yeah. which I also love that that comes up in another issue. That comes up, I think, in Supergirl as well. I can't remember. There's so many books this week that I read. They're all blending together.
Yeah, there's a lot of
books. Point. But no, and I like that though too, is that, the idea that he is, because they are so similar looking, right? Like, They could be one and the same, but yeah.
I dig that. I dig the page where he's actually making the speech, and there's and he's talking about Jonathan and Martha. He tells the whole story, and it cuts around a lot of the villains seeing this, the Young Justice seeing this. You see the Justice League, you see the closest characters to him, you see Batman and Damian watching, and even Batman's got a smirk in his face.
Yeah,
Batman's got a smirk in his face.
Number 2.
Supergirl's with Crypto watching, you know. Leviathan's watching, Red Cloud's watching, you know, what's her face, Melody, whatever, the firefighter.
Yep.
She's watching. Melody Moore, there you go.
That's the other thing that got me, right, was the with all of the people watching.
There's one missing.
And well, Leviathan. This must piss Leviathan off.
Oh sure, yeah.
Right, because this was their trump card on him, is that they knew his secret identity by the end, right? Like, and they want to release all the secrets of all the superheroes so everybody's equal. Well, now they just removed the biggest card from that deck, and yeah. But who's missing that you're thinking?
Well, that's the thing. It's missing the one notable reaction that I think everyone's dying to see, and that is Lex Luthor. So we see Superman fly off from this speech. Everyone's looking up at him. And then it cuts to the Legion of Doom. And again, how this fits in with the continuity of Justice League, I have no idea. But
just don't think about it. That's what I've had to do.
Yeah, so they're all standing around, and you know, it's Brainiac who says, "Luthor, how did you not see this coming?" And Luthor just looks over with, you know, this evil eye. And the final page is just this classic, and it's not Apex Lex. Like, he doesn't look like Apex Lex in these couple of
he shapeshifts.
Yeah. He turns into classic Lex, and it's just him looking evil as the final panel. And
I love how much this pisses him off.
Yeah,
I'll just say that it's my favorite dynamic of the two. That Lex was, you know, Metropolis was his city, and then Superman shows up and completely takes all his spotlight, steals all of his thunder. So that's what ends up motivating him to destroy Superman, right? Is his fragile ego. So what's this gonna do?
Yeah, I don't want to, because Clark does say when he's making his speech that he's still going to try and be Clark Kent. He still wants to be a journalist. But I have to imagine, like, the reactions to him when he goes to interview someone are going to be very different. So I wonder, like, if Perry or the types of articles or types of stories that he'll do now will shift to accommodate the fact that everyone knows who he is. Because investigative journalism, I don't know if that's necessarily going to fit him now.
You could say the same about Lois Lane, though, too, right? Is that everyone knows who Lois is.
True.
They're not going to be keen to talk to her.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what makes them the reporters they are. And if Clark is a legit good reporter, not just because he's Superman,
but
he'll have his ways.
But I almost wonder if it will be more like, okay, you can just honestly write about this from the perspective of Superman now, after like something big goes down. You know, your first-hand account of fighting Darkseid. You know, like
there's that, and he still wants to do good. You know, he can do whatever he was working on before. I don't see him not being able to work on it.
And he still has to make a living. It's not like he's getting paid for doing his superheroics.
Well, I think Adam Strange brings that up too. He's like, "Oh, of course you do. You don't get paid for this." Like, but yeah, I kind of want a one shot of Bendis's Adam Strange after, because he's been this small character showing up in Superman since Bendis started. Like when he called in the missing Earth, and that was a fun little moment.
Excuse me, Matt. Dr. Adam Strange, I think you'll find.
No, okay. Dr. Adam. Also, I looked up how much that Adam Strange predates Doctor Strange, and it's by about 5 years.
Oh, okay.
58 for Adam Strange in showcase number 17, and then Doctor Strange, I didn't see what issue it was, but it was 1963. Probably Doctor Strange.
Marvel, you hacks.
Well, you know. Another solid issue, and the fact that I was so outside against this, going, man, I don't know. I like the secret identity for Clark Kent, and it allows him to be more flexible. And then Bendis completely destroying that argument through the course of this issue. Superman's delivering it. It's pretty. You know, Bendis is a pretty decent writer, right? Like,
yeah, sure, pretty decent.
Thing or two.
Yeah,
right. Unless you're Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should read it then. We should read it. Obviously, I mean, Ivan Reis does Ivan Reis art. You know, that's good. I'll not delve into it too much. A lot of books this week. Superman 18, Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm going to give this a 10. but I'm biased. So yeah, this moved me so emotionally. Just again, that Perry scene alone.
Oh baby.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't been listening to all this. I've been in and out. I've listened to probably about half what you said. It didn't sound like you were talking about a 10 in the way you were talking about it. Like, don't worry, you've been positive, really positive, but I did not see a 10 coming from what I've been hearing.
Well, I am going to give it a very healthy 9 out of 10, which, for the record, is 2 9s I've given so far.
Yeah.
2 9s so far. That's not bad. This is a pretty good week.
Not to spoil anything, but it's a pretty good week.
Yes. That said, next up is The Flash 84. Joshua Williamson writing with Christian Duce.
Oh,
every good week has exceptions.
Well, here's the thing. When you ride a roller coaster, you have to go up first, so that drop means more. And we're going to hit we're going to hit going, it's a big drop from those 2 books. This legit made me angry.
Oh, dear.
Okay, just real quick. This is a mirror world. And if Williamson says it's not, he's lying.
Well, here's my first problem, right? So, last issue ended, Barry's collar came off, and, Kid Flash, Wallace had to immediately put the collar back on because Barry started vibrating through time and it was messing things up because the Speed Force is broken.
Yeah.
Very quickly in this issue, Weather Wizard zaps them and the collars all come off. And despite the fact that last week it felt like the apocalypse might immediately happen because the Speed Force has been unleashed.
In a bloody crater at the end of that scene.
Yeah.
Yep.
For some reason, all 3 of them going haywire on the Speed Force in this issue just amounted to vibrating a bit and being a little bit unstable.
And Barry's like, I just need to control it. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It felt like it waved away. Because last week it made it feel like, no, if you take that collar off, he might destroy the multiverse.
Yeah.
This week, a bit of vibrating.
I'm thinking back on Williamson's Flash, and there's been some really, really big highs. There's been some really, really, really massive lows over the last year or so.
Do you want another massive low? Magic bandages.
What? Oh, yeah.
Remember what we were talking about earlier about nostalgia? I'm realizing that Williamson's entire thing on this so far has been nostalgia for my Jeff Johns run.
That's
my
not
love
true.
of the Jeff Johns run.
The first arc, the Godspeed stuff, that was all fresh. It was all new stuff.
It was, but since then, it's been, Hunter Zolomon Zoom, right? It's been Thawne and how that plays out. It's been the Wally stuff, right? It I don't want to say it prayed because that makes it sound dark.
I think the Wally stuff I wouldn't necessarily count as nostalgia because we all care about him and want to see the story continue with him.
We do.
But I get what you're saying, though.
But I feel like I've given this such a pass because of what it was doing. Like when it brought back Bart, right? We saw Bart for the first time in forever.
And then that was it.
Yeah, and it was never brought up again in this book. Right. Obviously, he's backing Young Justice separately, but never brought up in this book.
I feel like that nostalgic view has been like, oh, well, it'll get better when we get back to that stuff. And then we got the Force, stuff, right? The different varying forces. And then we had a really terrible Flash year 1. That's not good.
I don't think I'd realised just how a cheap shot the Bart thing was until you just said that, because that was like issue 50.
50. It was 50, yeah.
So that was, a while ago now.
And this all pains me to say, because I really like Williamson as a writer. I've enjoyed way more of his than I haven't. Like, Birthright at Image is really good. I love Nailbiter, even though it doesn't stick its landing. But then it's getting a sequel, so maybe that was all part of the plan.
I think
to begin with.
I think I'm genuinely enjoying Batman Superman way more.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's just like dealing with the Flash and speedsters and Speed Force. I wonder if it just takes a certain type of writer because it's very easy to fall into the trap of just doing wishy-washy things with it as if it's magic, right?
Well, and this is not the first writer that's I've been out on his Flash. Like this happened with Venditti.
Yeah.
Right. I went in with an open mind, and over the course of time, it frustrated me so much I just quit.
So I mean, it could be that like there's good writers, but some good writers can't necessarily tackle a character like the Flash because of all this extra stuff that makes it.
What's funny is you compared it to John's nostalgia, and I kind of feel in a similar way to this as I did with Green Lantern under Venditti. The earlier stuff, is still in the New 52 stuff where it was kind of just more of the same stuff. Oh, look, all the color lanterns are here. Let's do this again. I can't feel like here. Oh, look, Speed Force stuff.
Right, but at the same time, Williamson is trying to do new things. I just don't like the new things he's doing, and it's not because they're new. I just think they're very weak concepts.
A lot of it is.
A little bit, yeah.
And if anyone I was gonna say, if anyone complains, because we were complaining about the difference between the threat of the Speed Force being unstable last issue and then this one, and obviously, yeah, it's true that in comic books the power levels of certain things and certain characters vary depending on the story because it's just natural when different writers are tackling different stories. But not only is this a huge, massive difference between the two, it's the same writer and it's one issue to the next issue and the same sequential story.
You read this in trade.
Times three now.
Yeah, if you read this in trade, there's a matter of pages between these.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pages, yeah.
Yeah, so all that happens, and then Connor brings up Golden Glider. Remember, I was like, what's up with the bandages? That's not her thing. Like, Glider's whole thing was she could move quick on ice, right? And that's why her and Cold would go together.
Yeah,
and now you have these...
Was this for the New 52? That's these bandages?
I don't remember this.
No, the bandages are new to this.
Because I never read the Venditti stuff dead. Past a couple issues.
She died, and that was part of Len's whole thing.
Yeah,
was avenging his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during Williamson stuff, she was intangible, and that's where I felt like I was lost. And I feel like this issue, the one positive is there is a method to Williamson's madness. Now, will that be fulfilling story-wise? Probably not. But I feel there's stuff that we were picking up on that we were counting as negatives that's going to be part of the story. Which that's fine.
I assume you're talking...
doesn't mean that they're good.
Yeah, I assume you're talking about the other rogues saying Captain Cold's lost his way and this is not what the rogues are. And
there's that and the broken mirror. Like, again, I feel like this is all a mirror universe. And that's because they keep talking about that Captain Cold stole Central City, right? So if he managed to transport it into a mirror universe where all this is going on, and that's why he's the king, fine. But doesn't mean I like it. But it doesn't.
But the Doom signal's still in the sky, and Lex Luthor's still calling in.
Oh, I really hope in Hellerism when he's part of the team, I hope it's Captain Cold, not King Cold.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I feel that it will be. I
don't know, because it's all like this is him with Lex Luthor's gifts, right? So. That's what made him King Cold. So,
yeah, but it definitely feels like there's more going on here, and that's fine. But like, there's the interior logic of each issue here now. Like,
especially when he's like
the Speed Force stuff.
He's talking to Lex in this issue. I'm like, so timeline shit,
Yep.
I just don't know anymore. Don't care. It's shite.
and that's where I am. I'm angry because I love Flash so much. And then I even defended the redesigns of like Weather Wizard and all of them and whatnot. Like, this is their D&D character, right?
I said originally...
I don't like this Weather Wizard. This Weather Wizard version sucks. And not because he looks the way he talks. Like,
hey Pete, do you remember at the start of this when Matt said he wasn't going to rant?
I did recall that, yes. Now, I remember being on the record saying I actually didn't mind Cold's new design, but I've hated everyone else, basically.
Yeah.
I think Heatwave's fine.
It's fine, yeah. Which is the end of the issue, is that they're going to have to work with Heatwave as well to take down Cold.
Yeah. And Cold, I'll stand by, I like the design. I think he's a terrible character right now, and he's not Cold, but the actual core design I quite like.
So
the others are terrible.
Yeah, I hate how Weather Wizard looks right now. It's rough going.
Look, I hate his characterization.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyways, this is throw this issue in the trash.
All right, let's just leave it there. Matt, what are you giving it?
Just one thing I think we should be fair on is that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you don't want to throw.
When you're drawing matched bandages and turning the Flash family into mummies, I guess that's cool. But yeah, I'm gonna I grade a lot more. I guess you say liberally than you guys. So even when it's real bad,
it's still above
I'm gonna give this a 4. Well, no, I'm gonna give this a 4 because it did upset me so much.
Dear. Connor.
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to concur with the 4. I think
Yeah.
So there we go. And my cat Firefly keeps trying to get in the way and do things. So I'm just toss. That's the third time I've tossed him away in the last minute. All right, that's the Flash. That will take us on to Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy issue 4. Why is this so high in the pecking order? Because I forgot to move things around from last time we did this week.
That's okay. You get a break now, Pete.
I'll get a break. Yeah. So this is Jody Houser writing with Adriana Melo on the art. Take it away.
It's Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn on a road trip to a dinosaur park that I'm sad doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah, and they get there, and Harley's like, "We are stopping at the dinosaur world," and Ivy's like, "Fine, why not?" And they get there, and Harley's like, "This is amazeballs," which seems like a fair description, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I like how Ivy's like, "Why are you talking like that? Like that's not a word."
And Harley's like, "Oh, there's a Triceratops restaurant over there. Triceratops for vegetarians. There must be salads in that place."
Yep, I love that. That's certainly a word. So they go in there, and there's people in dinosaur hats. They look like the security of the park, stopping them. And then as it goes, you find out that a lady named Dracorex, who looks like she has fashioned herself a dinosaur costume out of like theme park character costumes.
Pretty much, it's kind of stitched together. It's real hodgepodge.
Yep, she's taking over the dinosaur park and is keeping the visitors hostage. She's killed some people, which I think it goes for as light as this book has been. This is the darkest Hauser's gotten with this, to show like there's a contrast here between Harley and Ivy, who are bad guys trying to be good, against people that have just snapped and are doing really bad things.
Oh, definitely, because we see some of the hostages, and there's a woman there, like, oh, they killed my husband and stuff.
Yep.
But her whole thing is, it's people keep leaving this tourist destination, this theme park, and she's not having it, and Harley's like, it is a rest stop, and she's like, yeah, well, it's also a tourist trap.
Right.
They have a bit of a tussle. Some gorgeous art in this tussle. There's a panel on the bottom of one of the pages of Harley doing like a handstand double kick.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal, that page.
There's that. And again, there's not the overt sexualization of Ivy that was in the last one.
No.
Which I think that was the part of the story with Hatter, right?
Yeah.
I feel that was playing into that. So there was that, but no, Melo's art is fantastic. The colors here too also pop. But yeah, there's the page where Dracorex is basically giving her monologue, and she goes, I just like them always running away, or just like them always running away off to someplace better. And I like that Harley's like, I charge for therapy sessions. Right? That you forget sometimes that
your mic's good. But yeah, she's really played into that. But anyway, Ivy kind of ties up Dracorex with some vines, and then the guards they start writhing around the floor, and it's like, what's going on? And she's like, oh shit, they were eating salads. Floronic Man's here, and he grows out of their stomachs. It's kind of hideous and amazing.
It's pretty cool because it does a splash with these, not a splash page, but in the interior of it's all red against a yellow backdrop.
It's like it's all this silhouette of it coming out of them. You've got like their hands reaching and all these vines coming out from the bodies.
Yep.
It's incredible stuff.
But Ivy makes the connection that these aren't quite Floronic Man. They're almost like drones that he's sending, and that she realizes that they're somehow following. Harley makes it an improvised explosion out of a
microwave
and a gas line.
Yeah,
it looks like she put metal in the microwave
to make it spark.
Right, and so that was again pretty cool. But they go to make their exit, and the woman that lost her husband's pulling an Ivy. Because you had the car
let
keys.
me come with you. The cousin had the keys. It's like, no, that thing's after us. You ain't want to come with us.
So they both figure out that those two flowers that we noticed from the last issue, that's how they're tracking him. So Ivy has Harley take her arm off.
Just gets the machete out and chop the arm off. And she's like, it's fine, I'll grow a new one.
Yep.
And how is it? Sure, fine. Grow a new one. It's just a normal Wednesday.
Yeah, just a normal Wednesday, and that we finally get to be heroes, beat up some baddies, help the helpless, and then Mr. Side Salad has to barge in, make a mess of things, and hurt you. I'm done. So now they're heading back, and Harley and Ivy are going to take on Floronic Man. This is a really fun miniseries. We're over the halfway mark now. So instead of them running away, they're heading right back at it. I hope this is more of the Ivy that I like, right? So
and I think this might be my favorite issue yet. It has a lot of good banter between Harley and Ivy, which is what this book has been great at the whole time. But then it has, them actually trying to do the right thing, saving the people, but also kind of still being terrible as
themselves. Well. It's kind of like Wreck-It Ralph and his whole "I'm the bad guy" doesn't mean I'm a bad guy.
Kind of, yeah. Right.
So and I like that there, and so Ivy's my favorite Bat villain. Next to Two-Face, as I said earlier. She does try to do good. Her entire gimmick is trying to save the world, right? But in order to do that, you got to take out the people because they're the ones ruining it.
Yeah.
But no, this is definitely more into she's back being a plant creature again. Her characterization's on the way back. And I think Hauser's really good at this type of storytelling.
Yeah.
More on her later, because she had another book out this week. So, but yeah, no, what you rating it, Connor?
I'm going to an 8.5. This was a blast.
I hate it when we line up because I was given an 8.5 as well. So
it's just a damn good book.
Yeah, really good.
Very good, very good. Now takes us out to Batman and the Outsiders, issue 8. Bryan Edward Hill writing with Dexter Soy back on the art. Obviously, had one issue off, and the art wasn't bad last time, but it's definitely nice to have him back on top form.
It is almost different though. It brings Soy although it was similar to Soy brings a little extra oomph, I feel. All of this stuff with not Cable, I forget his name.
Caliber.
Caliber. Feel it's all for nothing because he had his heel turn and then he gets blown up in a plane.
Yeah, seemingly so. We ended last issue with Katana and Black Lightning on the plane with him, and there's a great moment. It's coming towards the city. I love how the cops actually have a remote button for the signal now because the cop presses it. Because there's a plane coming for the city. He has to see this. He has to see the bat signal. But I love the moment though because the art's gorgeous. So the plane's going down. No one can land it. And the reason why, Caliber, he may have survived.
Maybe. I just feel like
because
we kind of felt what his role was going to be from the start of him showing up, right? I hope there's more. I just hope he's not expendable.
Because Sophia dives at him, takes him out the plane. It's just Black Lightning and Katana that's left on the plane. And Black Lightning's like, here, come close to me. He holds Katana, and he basically forms an electric bubble, which blows up the plane in the sky, so it's just debris and it's not hitting the city, and then lowers them inside the electric bubble down. It's really cool.
Page is glorious.
Yeah, but both the explosion full page and then the actual landing in the bubble page are both really, really pretty. And we see Sophia get pulled out of the harbour by Batman, and and basically Bruce kind of warns Jefferson that, hey, they might come for you, and Jefferson brings up that he's just heard about Alfred, so some of the continuity between books is there. And Jefferson's all on board to help with all this stuff. Sophia's taken to the Batcave and is curious as to why anyone's trusting her. And you're still going to be watched, but you're not a prisoner, because if you were a prisoner, you wouldn't be in the Batcave.
Right.
This is not a place where we take someone. So no, there's some simple little bits. Duke's also explaining his new powers to Cassandra, who he doesn't want Batman to know, because if Batman knows, he'll bench him again. So she's kind of there. So they're forming a friendship there with them, and we're forming a bit of a friendship with obviously Katana and Jefferson. We've been kind of building those up. But the big thing about this issue, I think more than anything, is that Jefferson's school. So he's on the phone to his vice principal, presumably, basically going over what's happening at the school. And she's like, oh, don't forget about it, you need to come out here. And he's like, I'm going to be dividing my time because Bruce Wayne's put me on this big project in Gotham, so I'll go to try and tackle both. But after she hangs up the phone, someone murders her. We don't get to see who. And then at the end of the book, Ra's al Ghul's complaining to Shiva, that they've lost Sophia, Batman's done all this stuff, and now Jefferson's on board. So Jefferson has to be, reminded like the consequences of this. And the final page is presumably that is Jefferson's school blowing up.
Yep.
Ra's al Ghul.
He's going to be pissed.
Yeah, his vice principal has been killed, and then his school has been blown up. It is extremely dark. This is a super dark ending.
This is the most menacing Ra's has been in quite some time. Like, I can't think of other moments in the last, since I've been reading comics, where he's been so merciless. And I don't think I'd have it any other way. Like, I feel terrible for Black Lightning, right?
Yeah.
And what this all means, but a nasty Ra's al Ghul is something I can get behind.
I do want to at least present the possibility that that's not the school at the end, and it's actually where like Jefferson's family lives, maybe, because it doesn't necessarily look like a school building.
Doesn't make it any better.
It doesn't. It's still awful. Like Ra's al Ghul is still using terrorist tactics here. Like that's the main point of the ending.
Yeah.
But it's super dark. Like
Well, yeah. Well, I also like how him and Shiva are talking, where he goes, "The detective has corrupted my grandson, my heir." And Shiva, because of Cassandra, is children can be problematic. Like I love that back and forth here about generational stuff, and what Batman's cost them, right? Mm-hmm. Or because they don't realize they cost it themselves. But yeah, and then if this is the school that ties in children can be problematic a little bit more. But yeah, no, this is a really solid issue. It's keeping up. Like Hill is, I remember his detective run being kind of spotty with that one character we saw in the last issue.
Yeah, it was the villain who came back for revenge, because Batman had kind of left him for dead, and that felt like a weird story beat. But
yeah, and whatnot. But here it's been really consistent, and here I feel like he's upping it now. And then we got that solicit for things kind of changing in March. I feel like this is leading to that tomorrow wrestling term, the blow off.
Yeah,
is going to happen right before March. So.
I think the it's finding its feet. The only issue I have with anything, and I said this last time, is that the last issue was the end of the first arc. Technically, this was the start of the new arc. Given that it ended on this plane cliffhanger and picked up, from that here, it didn't feel like the ending at all. It felt like this is a weird place to split the trades, but okay, whatever. Yeah. Like if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Reading it single issue to single issue is fine.
Almost felt like this should have been the cutoff. Like here, the thing blows up. His ex-principal gets murdered, and then we go.
Yeah, this feels more the end of a story cliffhanger than the last one did. But whatever. This is some minor quibble. But no, really solid. Obviously, the art is beautiful. Makes the book super readable. And Hill doesn't overwrite his books. Like, there's not tons of text. It's very it flows very quickly.
I flirted with dropping this just because of numbers. Not that I wasn't enjoying it. What makes me keep reading it is a very quick read. Yeah. Like I don't have to I can read this on break at work and get something done. So yeah.
Yeah, super easy to read. And the ongoing story I'm finding more interesting as it goes, as it's building up what Raz and Shiva are up to. So what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Right. I am going to give it. I don't want to just keep picking the same numbers as Matt, but I actually do think an 8's the best place for it.
It's because we've been doing this too long, Pete.
Probably 8 out of 10, all round. Which will take you guys on to Hawkman number 19. Robert Venditti writing with. I actually didn't check, but Patrick Olliffe still on art.
Yeah, Olliffe.
Yep, there you go. We'll take it away.
So.
Shayera.
Yeah. Look at that.
So she showed up at the end of last issue, and about half of this issue is them fighting and her ultimately kicking the crap out of Sky Tyrant.
Yep, because he's... and then he brings up, too, that he had another on Earth 3, and that she's in there with Shayera. And I'm just like, oh my god, the possibilities this makes.
Yeah.
With Hawkman... and Hawkwoman / Hawkgirl, across the multiverse, as we've seen.
Do you know what I can see? Because obviously the end of the first arc was all of the Hawkmen.
Yep.
I can see us ending another arc.
Yep.
Well, the end of the first year was that.
Yep.
I can see us getting to a point where it's all of the Hawk women.
Yep. That'd be cool. The interesting thing that Venditti brings up here is, right, he changed the origin of Hawkman now when he brought in Qatar Deathbringer, which that's a bad name, Qatar Deathbringer. Like, can't wait to see them at Monster Fest. That for each life that he took, he has to make up for. And now you introduce the concept of Sky Tyrant in the Dark Multiverse. How many more lives?
And that's a big part of Sky Tyrant. Right? He was scared of dying, not dying in that particular life, but of completing his mission, essentially, of saving enough that he wouldn't reincarnate. He was scared of that final death.
So he just kept going.
He just kept killing as many as he could to add more to the tally.
Such a great twist that I didn't even think of. Like, when we got to this concept of Sky Tyrant, I didn't even think of that counting in. And yeah, man. And then you got all the stuff with She-Ra here, which I messaged Connor as I was reading this on Wednesday. That was Thursday night. I was reading it about if we could remember of how Kendra impacts She-Ra, and if this is just, we'll timey-wimey it, that they can both coexist because of time and space and whatnot, that's what I'm going to go with going forward.
I think, given that we have had various versions of Hawkman at the same time in this book, I don't think we can really complain that much.
No, but this is the She-Ra that we saw in Justice League of Thanagar.
Seems to be, yes.
That, so yeah, I don't know how this fits in with all of that stuff.
Because we're trying to remember the stuff in Justice League, but that was like a year ago. I feel like I remember it being like out of sync in time and space, which is why it kind of existed.
Right, because She-Ra and Qatar, right? That's the wingmen. And then this is Carter and then Kendra. But so if Qatar did, so does that mean that if Qatar hadn't died, he could still be hanging around on Thanagar?
I don't see any reason why not.
Right, because if Kendra and She-Ra are coexisting at the same time.
This is probably exactly why we had that Death of Hawkman mini.
Right? But yeah, it ends up with her after I got overthinking that, like I always do. It's a fantastic fight sequence between these two.
Yeah.
And her bringing up that Shade called the Justice League because Carter wasn't acting like himself.
And she's like, no, you're right. There's something not right here.
Yep. And then Sky Tyrant playing up that Carter's in the passenger seat. So he has to witness all of this. And he's going to do his worst to She-Ra.
There's a great bit where She-Ra steps through Carter.
Yeah. And it's, oh, man. But yeah, so after she whips up on him, and really great move where she's taking it to him, and he's got his mace that's all wrapped up and spiky and whatnot. Yeah. She turns it on him. It ends up on the ground. She trips him up, and he lands on it and it impales him.
Yeah,
and does a big amount of damage. So much so that he gets his transport out back onto his ship.
Yeah, he runs away.
Yep. And that, she's basically won, and she goes, no to his escape, but radios someone and goes, this is Hawkwoman, he got away, but tell me in position. And he goes, oh, already inside.
I'm pretty sure this is the Atom.
This is the Atom, right? So look, not to spoil anything from the Solicits, but this is Sky Tyrant's going to keep going through March.
Oh, really? I didn't actually read the Solicits.
Yeah, and it's also going to involve Adam Strange, and the Atom. So
okay,
it's gonna have those three. So She-Ra, the Atom, and Adam Strange, almost having an intervention with Sky Tyrant. I feel like this is where this is going, and again. Venditti has, over the course of these issues, has turned Hawkman into one of my favorite DC characters.
A unique book.
Yeah.
And it's a Hawkman story that's no longer just telling the same Hawkman story. Because as much as we loved that first year, it kind of was, to an extent. It was, oh, look, here's an origin again. It's gone beyond that now. It's something fresh. Even though the origin kind of encompassed all the others and made them all kind of fit.
Right. But now we're going beyond the origin, because he told that story so we can get to this stuff. And, like, what does that mean? And he's actually pulling off the whole Dark Multiverse stuff in story really well with this Sky Tyrant and how that played in with his origin, and how when they end up on the ship and he, pulls a book on this bookcase and it opens a secret entrance to the Black Journal. So,
which I'm excited to see more about.
Right. And with Sky Tyrant saying that he'll kill everything with the secrets held within the Black Journal. So yeah, Olliffe's art's really, it matches this grittiness.
Yeah.
Again, I started reading the Rough Riders stuff too, from I forget who it was, but Olliffe does the art, and it's this really pulpy, gritty, take on. It's almost like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but with American figures.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it fits Hawkman to a T, I feel. So yeah, kind of a real revelation.
Yeah, and I think again, I cannot praise enough how it's handling this Secret Six stuff. And obviously, I'm not reading Supergirl. I from what I gather from your just general reactions, it's handling it well enough as well. But compared to like those one shots, this is so
much
staggeringly better.
Yeah, much preferable.
Yeah. It's crazy how just giving it some time to pace it and building it into the story in a way that, like, because obviously you can say, well, the Doom stuff's all kind of been built into stories, and it still feels terrible. This actually feels like a really natural evolution of what this particular book has been. So it really works.
Almost as if Venditti looked what was coming up and went, okay, I know what to do with Hawkman. Yeah. And I almost feel the same when we get to Supergirl, kind of this, along with, I don't know how long Hauser knew she was going to be writing, or if they were like, hey, you're going to have an infected Supergirl, do what you want. Because I feel like she almost did the same thing where this is coming, I'm going to, fit it in.
It's not even necessarily that, he told this story because that's what they were doing. It was more of, how do I work this into my story that I'm telling?
Exactly.
And, compare it to how this has been worked into this book to the Doom's shit in Flash. This feels so natural. It feels like an evolution of that story, whereas Flash just feels like, well, we're just doing something that can't be real, surely.
Right.
So,
well, I think it's too is that Sky Tyrant's one of the infected, and it's kind of central to the Hell Arisen stuff coming up.
Yeah.
But it feels right. And we said the same about Batgirl with Oracle, that is pulling it off real well, and then through the Solicits, we find out that Oracle is going to be one of
the key players.
Yeah. So, editorial, usually when we bring up editorial, it's we're kicking them for messing something up or over-injecting the Doom signal.
Editorial is one of those things that you rarely praise, but you notice it when it goes wrong.
Right, and here
they're doing a great job.
Yeah, seemingly thus far, and more on that when we get to Supergirl. So,
yeah,
what's your rating, Hawkman?
8.5.
I'll say I'm gonna give it a 9. I really love this issue. It might be because it featured a kick-ass redhead too, but
I mean, I'm sure that helps.
Yeah,
Matt's got a type, and yeah.
I do.
Although Matt's slouching more and more as the show goes on, and he's almost off camera now at this point.
My back hurts. I overdid it at the gym yesterday because I had to make up for a missed day.
Look,
on
Matt,
Thursday.
I would happily just lift the image up, but you're actually the bottom of your frame, so there's no more image of you underneath.
All right, let me go back.
You could have just tilted your camera.
Yeah, you could take your camera down and stay slouched.
I could have, but I'd probably need to sit up. It's probably better for my sore back than...
It probably is.
It's right here in your lats, not so much in the middle of your back, but right here.
Yeah,
I get it. I find like myself when we're doing this show, every so often I have to actually force myself to sit back up because I've just kind of gone down as we go on.
I just have to interject here. So Resident Evil 3 got announced this past week, the remake, and I am obviously super pumped about it. Favorite franchise, Resident Evil 2 remake was wonderful, but I just want to...
Do you remember earlier when he was saying he was sick of franchises coming back?
Video games are a different beast, as we said with comics, because with video games you want a franchise to come back, because in the case of this, it's like the only way you can play that type of game. There's no other games doing that genre. Anyway.
If you hear the dogs barking, I think the cat tried to go downstairs not thinking the dogs were around.
Sure.
I think they're objecting to her presence.
I just wanted to interject here with the small little beat here that after the announcement, they re-released the Resident Evil 2 demo, because back when the game was coming out, there was a demo came out, and it was timed. They put the demo back out this week, and it was like, that's weird, but whatever. They only just did that so they could put in a little Easter egg, didn't they? There's a little Easter egg for 3. You can hear Nemesis say stars.
I like how Pete interjected like this was like something new, breaking news. Yeah.
While you guys are going on about that, I'm gonna check what's going on downstairs. I'll be right back.
This isn't something he's just read like while we were talking about Hawkman.
No,
this is something he spoke about earlier on Facebook. He's tweeted about it already. It's just. He just wanted an excuse to talk about it.
I was reminded of it because when you two were talking about whatever book I'm not reading, I'm just browsing, message boards, Reddit, whatever, and I was drawn to the Resident Evil 3 thread, and people have taken the map that's in the trailer and put the old map on top of it, and it actually matches up, and it's pretty cool, and there's all these things. It's really good.
I hope it's shit.
It's going to be. Come on, it's going to be great.
It's probably going to be exactly on par with 2. With 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be on par with 2.
Yeah, it's going to be on par with 2.
Well, because the buzz is that they were actually developing them to be one package, and then they got so big that they just split it into 2 separate games. And
that's why they've got it so fast.
That is genuinely why it's so fast, as the game was already like half developed by the time 2 was coming out.
When 2 came out, we were expecting it to be 2 years, more or less exactly, and it's like a year and like a couple of months maybe.
Yeah, it's really quick, but that's why, because they were actually already developing it at the same time.
That makes sense.
Although it's actually not Capcom. There's a new studio that's formed to make it, but it's like made up of ex-Capcom guys and ex-Platinum guys, so it's not exactly like a shitty little, it's like...
it's proper people.
It's proper people. They've just formed a little new set division to do it.
Yeah.
So, I'll look at it. Anyway.
Man, games are going to be crazy early next year.
They are. Like, April is nuts. Like, you got Resident Evil 3, then Cyberpunk, May's got Last of Us 2, March has got the Final Fantasy 7 remake. It's a whole...
You've got the Avengers game.
Oh, I forgot about that. I mean, I'm not.
I know you don't care about as much, but
that looks bad, though.
It does look bad.
To be fair, the second showing that they did looked a lot better.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what for.
Someone said it looked like Asylum's Avengers. Like, it looks a little like Captain America, but not really. I still need to play.
More like the porn parody version, the Ass Vengers. I don't know.
Ass Vengers.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Who knows? It might surprise us. But either way, it's a big game coming out around that time.
It's the same studio that did the Spider-Man game, right? Just doing Avengers? No. Well, then never mind.
Nothing related to that at all.
No. That company is clearly busy on Spider-Man 2 right now. they're busy.
Yeah. Well, I just figured with all of the Avengers Easter eggs, that was the next logical piece, but who knows?
No, different company. Yes.
I'm pretty sure this Avengers game has been we knew about that was coming in development before we even knew that Spider-Man game existed.
I don't know if it was before we knew that existed, but it was definitely during the time between when it was announced and then came out. It was definitely before Spider-Man came out, for sure.
Oh yeah, way before that. It was a while ago.
But yeah, so okay. We'll move on to the next book, which is Supergirl, which I know Matt mentioned a couple of times there. Supergirl 37, written by Jody Houser, art by Rachael Stott, who I've never heard of. But
me neither,
not bad.
I really enjoy her art. It's got that bubbliness that McGuire had, but in her own way, and it's still very good action sequences.
Do you know what's funny about this is that I was a little bit worried, even though I love Hauser, that okay, it's a tie-in thing where she's going to be this infected version. Like that's a red flag for me usually with a book, is when you're doing this sort of tie-in thing. But what they're doing here is not only interesting from the perspective of just like what Supergirl's doing, but they're treating it as because Batman and Superman both show up at one point. Because Supergirl saves this school bus that's going to go off the cliff. So there's still some Supergirl in there. There's still this need to be a hero in there.
She is still a hero in a dark, twisted type way.
Because of course the thing she does after saving the bus, which she sort of puts down kind of ungently on its side, and the kids are all kind of rattled by it.
Ungently is putting it nice, Pete. She throws it over her shoulder.
But she goes and like grabs the driver of this truck, who claims that it was an accident. That there was, like her, what was it he says? He's tire or something went. I don't know. But Superman shows up to try and stop her. Batman shows up in the Batwing. But they set up this idea that Kara's not quite as dark as the other ones because. Whether it's because the serum was designed specifically for Superman and not her, so it's not got the 100% effect, or if it's something else. Is it because just because she's Supergirl? I don't know.
So I thought about this in that I feel like the same thing would have happened to Superman, that the inherent goodness of them would, yes, they're going to be infected, but it's not going to play out. Everyone else has been infected. Almost has a dark streak to them if you think about it. That said, I hadn't read Scarab. I haven't read the Deathbringer one, but both Donna Troy and Jaime Reyes have a little bit of a darkness there with them. Commissioner Gordon definitely does. Billy Batson does, and rounding things out, Sky Tyrant, right? We just talked about that and Hawkman. So I love this twist though, that if this was Hauser or whatever. That no, she still thinks of herself as a hero, and that they're just going to get in her way, and she has to do it herself.
Yeah, there's. I mean, a lot of the pages in this are made up with the fight with her and Superman, and then Batman shows up in the Batwing. I love after she sort of rips Batman out of the Batwing, and then just throws him over her shoulder, and like. Superman has to catch him, obviously, because he's flying through the air. And so Superman catches him. So we have Superman like lifting Batman up, officer and a gentleman style, which obviously Batman never likes. But it's the way it's got to be.
However, also her talking crap to Batman about, she goes, so very sorry, Batman, but I'm not one of the teenagers who take orders from you. How many of them have you gotten killed at this point? And like, really, it's just one. Steph did have her. We thought she was dead, but she was squirreled away.
Is that in continuity? I don't know.
One is enough, but the fact that that's Hauser poking at Batman and the sidekick thing, I really like. But
she ends up,
and then her going and thinking about Krypton.
Yeah, but there's a subtle touch here I love when she's like in civvies. It's Joker colors. She's wearing purple and green. I love that little touch.
Well, So she goes and she starts thinking about Krypton and how she's not gonna let that happen here, right? Like this was actually a gift, and this awakened who she needed to be, and that's where Pete says she goes and she steals clothes to dress to try to blend in. But like Pete said, it's purple and green.
And she goes to speak to Ben, who's like, I've not seen you. And
doesn't she runs into him? Right?
She does. She's walking through and she hears the voice and says out his name. And he's like, hey, like, we almost started dating and you ran off. Like, you could have just told me if something was wrong. But
which I like how that plays into her missing time for what she was doing in the Draco stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Handled real well.
But she starts kind of like having like basically when she's hearing laughter, she's hearing Joker laughing in her head, and it's giving her sort of like a blinding headache, and she speeds off kind of almost in front of him where he doesn't quite see her use super speed, but it's like wait, that was weird. Like she just ran off. And we end the book with her sort of coming face to face with essentially the ghost of the Batman Who Laughs inside her head. It's not really him that's there, but it's like his influence in her head that's clearly trying to convince her to go further to the dark multiverse side of things. Because he says to her, you still don't get the joke, do you? But you will, ha 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 ha, so he's in there trying to like sort of coerce her and make her like sort of take that final step into complete darkness, but really cool. Like I say, the art's really good. Like it is definitely curty. There's one page when she's punching Superman where it kind of extends Superman's neck as if she's punched his head like out of its socket almost. But the art's generally pretty good and kind of fits the, like you say, the more bubbly attitude that Supergirl as a book tends to have.
And I love Hauser's voice for Kara. I was saying on Twitter, it feels familiar but also fresh. Like it's this weird thing because it opens up with her saying, "I'm Kara Zor-El," and I immediately thought of the TV show. You know how they always have the like, "My name's Barry Allen on the flat."
Yeah, my name is Kara Zor-El. I am from Krypton. I was sent, as my world was dying.
Yeah.
My cousin had already grown up and become Superman.
Yeah, and so I felt that here, and I thought, okay, that's a smart, on here. But then there's that darkness underneath it too because she's infected, and I hope Hauser's in this for the long haul because
I do too.
I really enjoy it, and this team. We know through Solicits they're going to be going through March, right? Which makes sense for...
That said, though, the March issue still has infected Supergirl, at least in some capacity. Right. So my hope is that once we switch back to normal Supergirl, that Hauser's still going to be there in the book. I really want that.
I do too. And I think she is, just on the account of... she was announced as part of that Superman special, right?
Yeah.
So and that had, Rucka and
I had all the Superbook writers doing like one short story in that book, yeah.
Right. So I don't feel that's tied to the infected stuff. So I'm hoping because Supergirl's been pretty consistent from Rebirth on.
Yeah,
there's been some hits or misses. Orlando was decent. Like the one miss I can remember is when he tried to interject his his thing,
that weird team book. Yeah.
And then Draco took over, and we were out in space for a while, and it was a lot of fun. And
Draco's stuff I loved. My favorite part of Orlando was all right, actually. I enjoyed Orlando, but the best part of Orlando was that arc where Jody Hauser, funnily enough, co-wrote the book with the high school stuff. That was really good. So, and then Draco's been great. So, Supergirl is worked out okay. Obviously, it had a break, but it wasn't there for a few months. But other than that, it's been on top form. So yeah, obviously we keep saying that about Batgirl as well. Batgirl has been oddly consistent since the start of Rebirth. So good. What are you giving this issue?
I'm gonna give this one a 9 as well. I love this issue.
Matt is just firing out 9s and 10s all over the place this week.
I am. Have some restraint, man.
I am going to give this a very solid 8.5. Very solid 8.5. So, that's Supergirl 37. Which will take us on to Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Teen Titans, The Judas Contract, Issue 1. Kel Higgins and Matt Groom on writing, and Tom Raney on the art. So this is the story of, obviously, the Judas Contract, but instead of what happened, Terra, who originally, of course, was going to keep sort of betraying them, she's working for Deathstroke, but ultimately ends in her death when all the story comes together in the original story. In this version of the story, basically, after a pep talk from Dick, decides that she should stand up for herself against her mentor, which is obviously because Dick announces that he's not going to be Robin anymore because he wants to leave Batman's shadow. So she basically, almost like bonds with him because she wants to leave Deathstroke. So when Deathstroke tries to give her some shit, she essentially uses her powers to rip his head off.
No, she rips his body limb from limb. It's not just the head; it's the torso. The arms are gone.
I just remember the head flying through the panel.
Because you see the head in the next panel, but you do see the arms come off as well.
Fair enough. So it's the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Pretty brutal.
So we read Judas Contract for a Patreon thing way a while back.
Oh, no, it wasn't Patreon, Matt. This was back when the 5th week was so late that we did a trade, in place of books.
And then I thought it was just, maybe the 80s that I didn't enjoy Terra, the way she spoke, and Higgins and Groom transposed that here, and I just don't like that version of Terra. They did a good job.
Yeah, this is accurate, right?
Yeah, and so it just made me realize I don't like that version of Terra. It's just a thing. The way that she talks irritates me. So I don't want to judge them for that. I just thought maybe I'm running out of steam on these dark multiverses. I
thought this one flowed really, because obviously these books have been longer. Yeah, I thought this one went in quick enough. I didn't feel the length.
See, I didn't enjoy. It's fine. I feel like it's very middling.
I think I enjoyed all the actual dark stuff, which was her killing Deathstroke, but also actually. So there's a bit before she kills Deathstroke, right, where she's kind of like complaining about the old man, Wintergreen's around, right?
Yeah.
I love that after she rips off Deathstroke's body parts in his head and we see his head lying there, the very next panel underneath that, half the page, it's her throwing the doors of the house open and she's just going, "Oh, Wintergreen!" I laughed out loud at that. I thought that was really funny.
Properly villainous.
Yeah.
Like, over the top cartoony.
Who loses his hand.
She kind of, destroys his hand.
Because he pulls a gun on her and she crushes it with lava.
Yeah. So
what a way to lose your hand.
He tries to fight back against her to electrocute her. It doesn't work. And, so she's like kind of using him.
Well, she ends up with Slade's, so she ends up with she had reasoned that there's no way that Slade wouldn't have a backup plan. So he has the same, he has the equipment on hand to return him into Slade. So that's what she goes for. And instead of leaving her in a coma like it did with Slade, she's fine.
She's supercharged and becomes Gaia.
Yeah, because Wintergreen was hoping that would stop her enough. Sure, I'll go through with it, but she'll be in a comatose state like Slade was. And it doesn't. And then, so she redubs herself Gaia, being, she is Mother Earth, not the Roman goddess of the earth. I mean, they're the same thing if you know your mythology.
I think it was more how the language evolved that Terra became not a nice word, whereas Gaia still has connotations of, Mother Earth, like you say.
So... that's
Which
fine.
I'm not going to lie, all this talk of Mother Earth is making me think of Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so she kills the Titans and that's all dark and whatnot.
Blows up the tower.
Yeah, she blows up the tower. She kills, I think she blasts Donna Troy on a rock into space. Like that. Yeah. That's what she does to Donna Troy.
Oh, and she does my girl Starfire wrong.
Starfire tries to escape, and then she just reburies her.
Yeah.
And then Dick and Wally are the last two standing. Gar's still existing, but Dick and Wally, who are both kind of retired, they've both kind of left the Titans, suit back up to take her on because someone needs to stop her. But they both fail. They both get stabbed. Gar eventually comes in because Gar has feelings for her. He tries to appeal to her.
Superman comes in first.
Oh, Superman's first. Sorry, I was jumping ahead. Superman tries to stop her first, and she finds all the kryptonite on Earth and uses it against them because it's still still rock.
Yeah. So she and that's what I'm chalking up to the Sladeness. Like her, she was able to normally she would have done that. Yeah. So she separated the elements to find the kryptonite and then use it on him. And Superman's being surprised, trying to talk her down, trying to convince her to do the right thing. But she just stabs him with a shit ton of kryptonite. And then, we see other heroes around the world, all the earthquakes are happening, tidal waves and the rest of it. Gar, who's all Two-Face looking from his injuries, shows up and tries to convince her that, she could be better than this. And she burns him with lava. Yep.
And then the last panel before we go to Tempest Fujinot to sort of round out the bookend is just Superman lying there with lots of kryptonite sticking out of him, just dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a sad state of affairs.
I think what I like here though is the framing that this isn't a tragedy. This wasn't where something went wrong on this Earth. It was, Dick Grayson was empathetic and went and spoke to someone and tried to do the right thing.
It's what Fujinot says at the end is that the sad part here is that for the world to be okay, the tragedy had to happen. It was the tragedy of Terra's death, but that needed to happen. Not happening led to this world where she destroys most of the planet and is riding around on a rock dragon.
Pretty cool,
the rock dragon's pretty metal. I gotta love the rock dragon.
Mad Science so out on this issue, but then there's a rock dragon, so it's all.
I got to the last page and I was like, no, this is fine.
I can't wait for her to show up.
I feel like
Rock Dragon in the future.
Yeah.
This needs a metal version of the Never-Ending Story theme to play. It's just flying a Rock Dragon. The Never-Ending Story. Yeah. What are we rating? Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, Matt?
I'll give this a solid 7.
I think that's fair, Connor.
A little bit higher. I got 7.5.
Yeah, I'd agree with Simple. I think the art as well. Well, I don't think it was faultless, but I thought it fit the tone of the time period it was trying to emulate.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it's going for the George Perez version.
Yeah,
like the Starfire and Robin in particular, like they're very like down to the hair is very George Perez. So, but yeah, it fits.
Good. So that will take us on to Wonder Twins issue 10. Mark Russell and Stephen Byrne on the art. So, feel free to fly through this one.
Am I the only one that read it?
I'm here.
Okay. So the fact that Lex... This is what makes me wonder about the continuity here of Wonder Twins, because he's not all doomed out. Is this before any of that? Because...
Just don't think about
it. Okay, I won't think about it, but this is Lex is lost in space. Because when the Scrambler was going to scramble all of Earth, Lex went to outer space in a spaceship, and he's been floating up there ever since. And he's been trying to dial down into LexCorp, where a group of interns has gotten together to ignore him, which cracked me up.
They've got his corporate card, so they're just ordering in like lobster, and it's like lobster, KFC, and pizza all at the same time with like bottles of wine.
Yep.
And Lex is up there on a ship going, why didn't they? They were supposed to put in the landing coordinates, but they didn't. So and the interns are bringing in like this other intern to their group, and they're like, "Is Lex okay with you using his card like this?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know, let's ask him." And they're like, "Finally, you're contacting us, intern number 5, a valued member of the team. Now do your job and give me the coordinates." And the intern's like, "Sure, yeah. You just need to do one thing for me first." And Lex like, "Yeah, sure, anything." He goes, "Tell me my name." And obviously he doesn't know it.
Jason, Jethro. And he goes, "Damn it, you were grateful when I get back to Earth," and they cut out. And he's stuck only eating Luther paste up in the spaceship. But so our heroes, the titular heroes, the Wonder Twins, are having to infiltrate Lex News, which, let's be real, this is just Fox News.
Except they all shave their heads to look like Lex.
Yeah, which give Fox News enough time, and that'll be, also they'll all be doing the swoop comb over. Give it time.
The women too, because
yes,
she's bold here as well. Like Lex has got like, no, you're all doing it.
Yep. And so they're bringing on the lady that has the Kryptonian, device scrambler to get Philo out of the Phantom Zone, and so the Wonder Twins infiltrate where Zan becomes the water in the water cooler.
Yeah.
With a thank God nobody decided to drink me. I thought that was classic Russell humor here, but they end up getting it. Gleek's there with them and
hide in the umbrella stand with his tail
hide in
out.
the umbrella stand from a security robot wearing a bow tie. That's the I guess segment producer for Lex News. Who knows? We never see him again. But they end up basically heading out into space. I'm trying to go through.
They
send get the coordinates. Yep. So Lex gets the coordinates from Gorilla Grodd, who actually isn't Gorilla Grodd. It's Jaina in the form of Gorilla Grodd. They land him. Trap him in what looks like a bathroom.
Yep.
And steal the ship. And they can't believe that it works. And they're heading off into space to save Philo from the Phantom Zone. While this is going on, they end up. It cuts back to the Colonel, right? Hello EO.
Yep. This guy's
who's
great.
Been hooked into the internet. Yep. Because he has to, he gets told what it is, and then
the guys are like, maybe we shouldn't have connected to the internet, and they're like, wait, can he hear? He's like, what's the internet? He's like, wait, he can hear us. So what's the internet? The internet's what allows everyone to share and access information. And he's like, so the internet is communism.
Sorta.
Yeah.
And so yeah, this was probably a mistake. They claim as they hook him into the internet.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but basically, what's her name? Philo's daughter, Polly.
Yep.
Polly starts basically being like, well, you kind of can feel like these are her true friends because they are willing to save Lex Luthor from outer space, steal his spaceship, infiltrate Lex News to get her dad back.
And take the spaceship next to a black hole because they need to go to the event horizon because the gravitational stress will weaken the plane of the Phantom Zone and make it easier to break out.
Right. Where they Zan becomes an ice particle basically through space.
Yeah, because this is great. Because Paul's like, hey, if you go to a deep space without a suit, you'll freeze in seconds. And he goes, I know, I'm counting on it. And becomes a big ice needle.
Really, really good. Like, this is what's crazy is that, like, we kind of knew Mark Russell, right, from the Flintstones. He did the Snagglepuss stuff. But he's kind of an unknown quantity for DC characters when he started this. And then you put him on the Wonder Twins. Yeah. I really enjoy these characters now, and it's all his fault.
Yeah, so he smashes the Phantom Zone plane, and it's a fantastic 2-page spread of the way it shatters, and then Adriana transforms into some octopus legs, just from the waist down. She becomes an octopus and grabs everyone to save them.
Yep. So pulls everybody out of the Phantom Zone, and Zan looks worse for wear.
and they're like, please don't die. He goes, it looks like this party could use some ice.
Yeah, but he goes, wait, how long have you been sitting on that line? I meant to use it before, but I forgot. Yeah, man, see, so like that Harley cartoon premiered this week, right? Or last week?
Yeah,
for DC. I feel like we need a Wonder Twins cartoon in this with this energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's something I could have seen. Or if they want to do it in the old Super Friends style of that animation, but with the modern sensibilities.
If they can emulate Steve Byrne's style.
Yeah. Better.
Yeah.
More the better. Yeah. Another guy also, because there's a koala in the seat. Because of one of the guys that's on there. One of the guys, like, my wife isn't going to believe any of this. But yeah, and then so they're on their way back, but meanwhile in the Hall of Justice, Colonel 86 is taking control of the internet, and the Justice League looks like they're in trouble. Hawkman's there, so
it's nice to
again, see. I have no idea what the continuity is in all of this, but
I don't care. It's out of continuity. I'm enjoying it. The only thing that's going to make it weird continuity-wise is when these two show up in Young Justice. They're showing up in.
Well, Young Justice and Action Comics, because that's all of the young heroes and stuff. So that's what I mean. I'm glad they're there. I like that Zan and Jaina are characters of the greater world, but whatever this adventure is, if it's outside. But then again, it's also Wonder Comics, so...
Yeah, I'm fine accepting this as just being its own... It's a 12-issue thing. It doesn't have any connection. It's just what it is. That's fine.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's a whole lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, that entire sequence of them in space and him turning into an ice rocket, essentially.
Yeah. And then not making the pun when he meant to, so doing it when he got back instead.
Yep. That was all good. So, all right. So, what's your rating, Connor?
It's yet another 8.5 from me.
I'm going to go slightly lower. I'm going to go with an 8, but I've already ridiculously overgraded things this week, so I have to even out.
Yeah, I feel like this week the degrader is gone.
Yeah. For now, but they'll return next week.
Yeah, the degrader never stays dead, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like Jason.
And I've tried many a time to kill it.
He has tried.
So, real quick, yesterday was holiday day at work for people to dress up in their best holiday gear. So, Santa hats, whatever, reindeer ears. But it was also Friday the 13th. So you bet your sweet asses I wore my Jason shirt from Violent Gentlemen. You mix hockey and Jason Voorhees, and you have a product that I'm of course going to buy.
Yeah, I've got a Jason Voorhees hockey shirt in the closet.
Nice.
Sells itself, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'd have worn it yesterday if I'd remembered. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's Friday the 13th.
No. I bought this shirt back in October when me and my brother went to California. It was one of the reasons we went to that store, and I have not worn it. I saved it till yesterday, Friday the 13th, during hockey season, to wear it. Yes, that's how much of a nerd I am.
Unfortunately,
also wore a Compass shirt the week before. So
me and Tim couldn't unfortunately have the next Friday the 13th movie, which is Jason X for the records, the next one we're going to do when we get back to it. But there is a handy playlist of the 9 movies so far that we've reviewed on Streams After Midnight.
Slacking.
Should anyone want to go and check it out? But we're doing Christmas movies right now. It's middle of Christmas season, which makes it weird.
Yeah, but Friday the 13th, you get one of those every so often. You get Christmas
but we got another one. We got another one coming up because I asked my wife for the collection on Blu-ray, so I don't have to rely on streaming the next Friday the 13th. Because Hulu decided to remove them all right before Halloween. Bunch of idiots. I think I've been Disney though too.
It's always the way.
Yeah, but
next one's in March.
Yep. So hopefully I have them by March so we can watch.
That sounds like a plan. All right, that'll take us on then to the Batman's Grave issue 3. Warren Ellis writing with Bryan Hitch on art. This is just me, so Matt gets a break for a change because I don't think Matt's had one yet.
Yes. Super rare.
I'm making this quick though, so don't do it in two.
That's fine. I'm just browse Twitter right now.
So Batman's Grave, Batman's investigating a crime, the death of this ex-DA in a mansion. And Batman's looking at the crime. Much like the last issue, it was a very quick read because there's a good portion of it where once a fight scene takes place, it takes up like half the pages of the book with no dialogue, and but it's super good to look at, and the fight feels really good. So Batman, after some bickering with Alfred, who has a couple of weird but fun sort of at one point Bruce is basically saying, "Hey Alfred, you work all day in the house and then you spend all night in the Batcave doing Batman shit. Like, how do you manage that?" And Alfred drops a joke saying that he's basically doing hard cocaine the whole time, and that's how he does it.
Wow, that's
And he's just joking because they were talking about narcotics, so it's relevant to what they were saying. So he doesn't pull a cocaine joke out of nowhere, but like. It was that, and then there's some joking after that about how a lot of Batman's best work is done when he's at the Batcave, just on the computer. You know, despite the fact that he's Batman, a lot of his job is actually sitting at a desk on a computer. And Alfred then says, "Oh, they should do the Office Batman edition. I'm sure that'd be a good show." Like, there's a couple of weird cracks from Alfred in this issue, but I'm not going to say I didn't chuckle at them. So he goes to the mansion where this guy lives. And they're suspecting, okay, he was a dodgy DA, had a lot of criminal ties, maybe one of them wanted to kill him off. He goes in, once he gets to the mansion, it's completely silent, and it's him searching, very, very methodically through the mansion, and he eventually comes to the guy's office, and he's attacked by this big guy in a silly mask and suit. And they have a big fight scene, but Batman grabs something off the desk, and I'm glad that they made a point of explaining what this was, because it wasn't obvious from the art, and to be fair...
It's not cocaine?
It's not cocaine, but he did explain. It's basically like an Alexa style device, one of those, but obviously like a fake. What company did they say it was in here? Because Batman complained that there was a Wayne Tech version that was it's LexCorp. It says it's Lexicon, LexCorp's voice assistant, home voice assistant. And again, that's another dig from Alfred, where he's like, people put these things with microphones in their houses, and he's like, yeah, well, the Wayne Tech version was beat by the LexCorp one, and he's like, you wanted to put cameras and microphones in everyone's houses, and he just kind of smirks, and Alfred goes, of course you did. So basically look into this, and they're like, okay, there was a bunch of drugs in his system. He was prescribed a lot of stuff by his therapist. He cut the therapist off because he thought the therapist was abusing his wealth. But he got addicted to a lot of things, and some of it's really weird and rare. And they're looking into this, and maybe this other villain who showed up to fight Batman was also there to like grab this voice assistant. But that's what they're looking into. But yeah, so I mean, much like Ash issue, it's got a really weird structure, and then it kind of starts and ends with Batman and Alfred just in the cave, kind of like investigating stuff. But it's really emphasizing the detective work over like the other stuff. It's not like these big plots about things. But once again, it has this kind of Sherlocky scene where Batman imagines he's in the crime scene, and he's sort of going through all the details, and he's talking as if he is the victim. And okay, so my psychologist prescribed all this stuff. I realized that he's maybe abusing me, and then I cut him off. But I'm already addicted, and I might as well finish everything. But he theorizes that someone hacked his his lexicon, his Alexis thing, and basically tells him to kill himself while he's on these drugs. That's what his theory is right now. So he's going off to look into things, and that's where the issue ends. So yeah, it is, honestly, it's solid. I think it's a very fine little standalone Batman story, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. Art's very good from Hitch, and I never used to like Hitch that much, but he seems to have improved quite a bit in the last couple of years. So yeah, solid. No, I mean, it's not essential reading if you want to wait for the trade. I get it, but it is a solid Batman story that I think is well written, that focuses on detective work, and if that's appealing, then go for it. I would give this issue a solid 8 out of 10. So there you go. Which will take us on to Far Sector issue 2. N.K. Jemisin writing with Jamal Campbell on the art. The murder mystery and the mythology building of these three races and the people on this planet, including the fact that the vegetables like to eat people, especially people that they have a bond with or see as intelligent.
Yeah, and that's a compliment. The you smell delicious.
It's a sign of respect.
It's a sign of respect. Also, so they're Venus flytrap people, right?
Basically.
That's why they're all covered up. Yeah, I don't know if I got that from the first issue. Like, I knew they were plant-based, but now that final page made sense, with all the plant stuff, jetting out, So,
so we find out a bunch of stuff. Her roommate, I think Joe, they're calling her for short, because
it's Sojourner, Other Helmet Joe.
So Joe's roommate, who she's living with, basically. Who apparently they had like a quick fling because like she was flirty with her, but then they realised that wasn't going to go anywhere. I wonder if that'll come up again, because I feel like a weird thing to throw in there like that and then just kind of move on past it.
Or it's just establishing too that she's a little bit more fluid.
I think that she's very open to having it on with all the alien species here.
Well, yeah, possibly. Well, obviously we get to the big dance number later, but she's like, hey, but remember, he because he said that, he wants to eat you.
Yeah.
Remember, he wants to eat you.
Forget, the plant people will eat you.
So
as well as this, as well crafted as this book is, as great as the character Joe is, I'm just kind of thinking, how fun would this story been with Jessica Cruz? A story like this, right? Like, we have other Lanterns. Not, again, I don't want this to make it sound like old grumpy guy, new characters suck, because she doesn't. 2 issues in, I really like. I like her.
I think the reason I don't know if it was ever even considered, but the reason why I think that they wouldn't have said just do this with Jessica is because, and the reason why this is Young Animals, because it's meant to be a mature book. So she drops F-bombs at one point.
And I understand that, but I'm saying, while Morrison's off doing his own thing, this is the only Green Lantern thing I'm reading.
Yeah.
Right? I miss Green Lantern. Like, why couldn't we do one-off stories?
There's a couple of reasons. One, they're using Jessica elsewhere, right? And they just don't want to deal with...
Yeah, but I don't like that, Connor.
No, I know. Because the book that she's in is not good, but that sucks, I know.
Yeah.
And also just... Hey, we've got another one to play with down the line now. Now we can do a story with her and Jessica.
Yeah, let's talk about some movie references here, because the book opens with her doing Morpheus. She sits down in the green chair with the sunglasses on.
Yeah.
So some movie references coming in. She's hunting the culprit who killed the prisoner last issue, and ultimately loses them, and actually loses the ability to fly. She's kind of panics midair, and this old woman
because she loses her concentration.
Yeah,
I actually thought it was really notable that even at the start, where she's chasing after the guy, and she's confident enough with the ring, clearly, because she's making the big hands to try and catch him, and splitting the crowd, but she's running, and I thought that was really notable immediately, before she even got to the point where she acknowledged that she's going to have to fly. And she makes a big deal out of it. She goes down into the superhero flight pose right before she does it. When I don't think she has to do that, but I think she's like trying to psych herself up for it.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll learn more about how she ended up with her powers, because obviously, as we said, the first issue, she doesn't have a ring in the way that she's been given it. She's kind of tapped into the same energy, but she's not a picked lantern. So,
but the Guardians did send her here, right?
Yeah, they did send her here, but it's notable that they maybe sent her to the furthest outpost in the universe because she's like, she points out
she's her off the books.
Yeah.
And anyone else find it really interesting that the Guardians of all people sent her to somewhere where they have no emotions?
Well, because that's the thing. She's talking to her roommate about the emotion exploit and how everyone has their emotions dampened. It's very equilibrium. It's very dystopian sci-fi, all that stuff. And some people are sort of like circumventing it, and they're seen as criminals. And because there's a point here where Joe says to one of them that, hey, that not everyone with emotions, is crazy, right? Like, it's normal. And one of the things I thought was really interesting, probably my favorite scene of the issue, honestly, it was the conversation with the roommate, because the roommate starts saying that she's jealous because you have all these emotions, and I expected someone with emotions, because we've spent centuries by this point all suppressing our emotions. I was expecting you to be like a weird wreck who was doing things willy-nilly all over the place, but you're not. You actually, when to keep your emotions in check, and when to let them out. Like, you have this control, this natural control over them
that they just don't have. So these people who take the drug to circumvent the exploit, they just don't know how to control them. Yeah.
Well, so the first part, she kind of just described Guy Gardner. That you can't keep your emotions in check and whatnot. Like, so that was pretty hilarious, right? And but no, she was describing the human experience, right? Whereas that's part of our flaws as humans is, as much as we want to dampen the emotions, we kind of can't. And learning to be a human, like I'm a robot, but in experiencing life as a human is learning to control those emotions.
Yeah, and obviously we sometimes lose control. We'll get upset or we'll get angry, and like they'll burst out. And some people are especially bad at that, and those are the serial killers and so on and so forth. But like, and
me during traffic, because people are idiots and don't understand how to merge.
People are the worst.
They are, and that's it. And this is where, like, I don't know if that's straight misanthropy from me, or if it's I expect so much more out of humans, and they keep disappointing me, and that's why they're the worst. Like, I don't know, but no, I really like Pete saying that's the main chunk of this book that really resonated with me was the, I wish we could do this, but we can't, and that's why we have these dampeners.
I mean, we have that conversation, and the two main things we really get from this issue is a lot more background on the planet people, which are the Ketopli. And that page where the roommate's explaining it, and we see the actual images of what they look like with their cloaks off, and the big.
It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, it's proper horror movie stuff. Then, of course, she goes to see the other guy who dances with her, and he's obviously from one of the other races, who's a bit more suave. And as she points out, like, one of the first things he says is that he's thrilled to see her, and she's like, "That's a weird word to use for someone who's not got many emotions."
She mentions how you don't really notice how many feeling words there are in language, and it's the same way how if you just try to go to another culture, there's so many just things that like phrases that you'll say that don't translate because they don't have that phrase.
Well, and I also like too that we see that sometimes her ring translation struggles to keep up with new dialects and different stuff. So I like that happens after. Like, she's like, "Oh wait, thrilled. That's an emotional word." So, but no.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. So. She goes to see the spokesperson for the Na, and obviously I didn't remember any of these names from last issue because this is a lot of new terminology to keep up with.
It's very dense.
Yeah. So go see this guy from the Na, and he absolutely does. We had this big 2-page spread of them dancing like all over the room.
I felt like I was reading Wicked and Divine, and I loved it.
Which is probably why it's my least favorite page of the whole book.
So I also like that we get a little bit more into the Na culture. How they all came in, and that's why they have the names that they do, is that they all came in on kind of different ships that became their own culture within the Na, which became their own nations. So when he says he'll talk to so-and-so because what was the word shipkin? It's like, oh yeah, he's from the same place I am. And that's why I love these kind of sci-fi tropes in that way that, it breaks down. Everything you need to know about that culture is summed up in those couple lines.
Yeah, and
Ship Clan, I think it was.
Yeah, at the end of the
Ship
book.
Clan. There you go.
Yeah, you're back to Mexico, Matt. The end of the book is her realizing that he's on switch off. the drug that's letting him experience his
Turn
emotions.
your emotions on.
And again, it's to us, oh, someone's feeling things. That's not that big a deal. But it's systematically established that the people here do not understand how to control their emotions.
Yeah, and this is a leader. This is someone who's high up, you know?
Yeah. So he's probably making some crazy rash decisions.
Yeah. So, no, very, very interesting. Like you say, there's a lot of mythology in here. It's very dense, but...
I was surprised at the page count because the last one took me a little bit to get through, and this one was a breeze. But the last one was longer, right? There's more pages?
I don't think so.
No?
It just felt like it because it was so dense.
I could have sworn it was more pages.
I mean, I still think this feels longer than a lot of the other books I read this week, just because it is a lot more dense, but it wasn't as dense as the first one. The first one felt like it took a while to read.
Yeah. So this one didn't, so when I got to the end, I was like, oh, that's it, okay. Because I was expecting to be reading for a little bit longer.
Yeah, but I really feel like we had a handle on the mythology as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 2 out of 3. I mean, the third, because I couldn't even tell you, right? All the fact that they were the more computerized ones, I couldn't tell you much about the third culture yet. You
kind of have the ones with the fins and tails, the nod, then you have the plant ones, and then you have the robotic ones.
Yeah.
Like I say, we've got 2 of them now, and they're built like last issue was an introduction to in a general sense.
Yep.
All of them. This kind of focused in mostly on the plant people, but gave us some of the Nat as well. We got a bit of both, and it is kind of really, I understand everything in this issue. Okay, everything's become a lot clearer, and I'm sure we'll get maybe next issue or whenever it is that for the more robotic people, we'll get that for them as well. And while maybe I don't know all the names exactly yet. If you say, the plant people, okay, I know exactly what they're talking about. I know something about their culture. I know what they look like.
Yeah. And that page where you look at the history of them, just done in like memories almost.
Yeah.
It's such a cool looking page.
Oh, it's great. Obviously, Campbell's art is always fantastic, but this is some great layout work specifically.
Yeah. So there you go. That's issue 2. Matt, what are you giving it?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5.
Connor?
Yeah, 8.5.
I have a solid 8. Solid 8. So there you go. That's First Sector issue 2, which will take us on to Batman: Curse of the White Knight issue 5. Sean Murphy obviously doing both writing and art. Back to the main story. Obviously, we had the Von Freeze issue last month instead. We start with Gordon's funeral.
Yeah, sad times.
Very sad. Barbara's, in the wheelchair.
That's what getting stabbed with the flaming sword will do for you.
Yeah, after last issue. Azrael basically goes rogue against the people who were in charge of him, and explains that his sword's covered in like kerosene or whatever it was, and
specialized napalm.
It was napalm, that's what it was. And he says that he presses a button to ignite it, but it's still flammable. Like, I could still just put it here, and if I put a candle or something near it,
candle, we'll let it go.
Be very threatening with the whole thing. And of course the book ends, and obviously a lot to talk about in between, but just in terms of Azrael, the book ends with him sort of in his Batman armor. Like, he's like now trying to turn to Batman.
Yeah. So the people that were
the best I'm Batman moment I've ever read.
Yeah. So skipping over a big huge beat where because earlier we've had the Nightfall, right? That's what you think. Think Azrael. So when the people that are in charge try to regain control, they stick Bane on Jean Paul.
And you're like, oh shit, we're doing Bane now.
Yeah, we're doing Bane.
And now we're doing Bane.
Yeah, versus Azrael.
And he's gonna break up Batman, except no,
he's dead in like 3 pages.
I mean, it's not just that he kills him. It's that Bane, like, because Azrael says something like, "Oh, that pipe going from the back of your head that has your venom, that's like a weak spot." And Bane says something like, "Oh, but that's like a temptation to come in. If you're that brave, then go for it." And he's like, "Sure." And he doesn't just cut the pipe; he cuts his whole head off with it.
Yeah, I yelled, "Holy shit!" And my wife goes, "What?" And I go, "You wouldn't get it."
It's this great subversion of expectations because you go, "Oh shit, Bane," and like you say,
and he has
the Nightfall connotations with Azrael. You're like, "Oh shit, we're going there."
Yeah, he has him up, ready to do the backbreaker, and no, the Phantom, big tag to the partner while he's up. And that's it. And I love Luchador Bane. Bane as a Luchador is my favorite take on him. And so his mask here, he's got like almost the Matador style coat,
Yeah,
and
honestly,
the lucha flourishes on the mask. So,
as someone who's never really given a shit about Azrael, this might be a far more interesting Azrael than the main continuity he's ever had.
And so,
definitely, and it's kind of funny that we've talked about in the past how there's a lot of stories where Bane gets shafted, even down to the current Batman story, right? And we've talked about Dark Knight Rises, but this here doesn't apply because you're expecting stuff because it's Bane, but because it's this isn't like 4 issues later where they do this, where it's 3 pages.
Immediate. And so, as cool as that stuff is, though, we get more in the backstory, which again, I love that Bane moment, but the backstory here where we find out about the Waynes, completely, basically shaping Gotham from the very start by getting rid of the original settlement into a reservoir.
Yeah, by flooding it, by putting a dam up. Yeah.
Like, and man,
we're Gotham here now, bitches.
Exactly, and because of what we think is
so some of my favorite pages,
bad blood between the Order of Saint Dumas and him, but yeah.
Some of my favorite pages of this book are Batman going down and with the breather to look at this old town that's down there.
That is such a Murphy.
Read the wake
shot.
Yeah. I get to the wake.
He goes to the water, and it just the lines cut out the form of him diving. That is, when I think Murphy, I think of scenes like that because that happens in the wake. That happens in his American Vampire story. It's happened in I think even in the first issue of Chrononauts, which is the only one that I've read, the Millar book.
Yeah.
I feel that's in there, so it's like his thing. But yeah, so he finds this original settlement, and he finds a grave to Saint Dumas or Dumas, whatever we're calling it. And then he comes back to tell them, tell the group what's going on. And
the group. Just to remind everyone, the group here consisting of not only Dick but also Bullock and Renee Montoya.
Right. That's a point, Joe. I think there was one moment with Bullock that I didn't like. I'm going to try and find out because there was one moment where I went, "That's the least Bullock moment I've ever seen."
Yeah. Well, he has an outburst because Batman wasn't at the funeral because he was investigating, but it's also almost out of respect because he got Gordon. He feels like he got Gordon murdered, and he couldn't handle being there. So it's this real vulnerable moment out of Bruce. That he admits to Renee, which I really like.
He explains the backstory and what his theory is about what the revenge is for, and then he admits that he doesn't think the clue really came from Joker; it came from Jack Napier. So he goes to Harley to go and speak to Joker because Batman basically means that Joker will be the one that comes out, but Harley may have a chance with the kids, the new babies, to draw out Jack, and that leads her to go to to go to Arkham. And speak to him, and eventually, he's very awful to her, but eventually he does, reveal Jack. And I think there's a bit of a tease here where, like, he explains what the writing on the wall means to her, and he says, "Don't tell Batman because this will destroy him."
And the look on her face is horrified. What he tells her.
Yeah.
And
later on, we see Batman ask, like, "Did he explain the writing on the wall?" And she says, "Oh, he doesn't know."
She lies. Yeah. And the other thing that too from the backstory of Gotham is that the people that couldn't afford to be moved, like they couldn't afford it after they flooded it, were put into Brockport, where Duke's from. So it's like the low end of Gotham, and it kind of shaped it from the beginning. So it's tying all of these people in Gotham together, and that the Waynes, this curse isn't just like and what we think of as a curse, but of history as well. Yeah. Like he completely shaped the city, and Bruce continues to do that.
Yeah, the group look into DNA. They figure out it's Jean-Paul Vallée. They figure out he's got cancer, know who he is, and they also look into who his sort of henchmen are. And it's like these people who have been wronged in some way that he's went in and saved. He saved people from death camps. He saved people from being POWs. But they're all people who you can kind of see why they've become loyal to him, given where he saved them from.
Well, it's his order. And they're kind of, what are they called, like the Flaming Angels or something along that lines. And
it was his that was his squad, right? In the army.
And he's a Green Beret, Blood Angels, and that they're really like salt the earth types in their revenge, and that their code names are also the two that they single out here are Gabriel and Michael,
Archangels.
Archangels, right? And someone that doesn't know Christian, I don't want to call it mythology, but you know what I mean? Like the biblical stuff there, the references. I do know those two.
So the idea of the book is that Azrael Batman goes to Arkham and basically kills a number of Batman's rogues gallery.
I don't like this.
Just goes through them with a flaming sword. Croc gets killed. The what do you call
Ivy
it?
gets
Ventriloquist.
it.
Yeah.
Two-Face. That's a great panel, though.
Yeah, down the middle as well.
Splits his face. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Riddler's gone.
So he gets to Joker and he's like, "Oh, it's clearing out the competition." I see. So he's here for Joker. I mean, I doubt he kills Joker, but that's what's the final page where he says, "I'm Batman," and you just see all the row of dead bodies behind him that he's went through.
Because, they let me walk in. Why would they do that? Because I'm Batman. And it's just like, shit. Yep. That's how you make that line work.
It does. And he could have even added a goddamn in there, too.
Because I'm the goddamn Batman. Yeah.
Right.
It would have worked.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, he's in the blue techno kind of suit that we all associate with Nightfall. And yeah, man, Murphy's just killing it with this book. I love this version of Batman.
It's so impressive that I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, give me Flaming Sword Azrael in the bat suit. Give me, all the Sid Dumas history stuff. Give me all the vampire stuff. And at the same time, I'm going, oh, god damn it, Bruce is going to be so broken at the end of this, even more so because the whole thing is Harley's like, you've got to trust me, and he is working on trusting, and it's not whatever she knows that's going to break him. It's the fact that she didn't tell him.
I don't know. I do feel like she is going to tell him, and that's going to lead to it. But I also feel like she's a psychologist, right? Psychiatrist. She knows how to deal with that, with this trauma that it's going to cause. So I feel like whenever she chooses to let him know, I think Harley's also going to be a key in him rebuilding himself.
Yeah.
Because of her past. And I feel that that's why Jack said it. Jack knows this, right? Jack wants what's best for everybody.
And but I think it's something that Bruce maybe could have handled, but I think it's the fact that he's just coming around to trusting someone again. Yeah. And it's gonna do this. It's gonna break him all over again. And that's kind of where we started this story, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been great. I mean, the only thing I don't love about this, because one of the things I didn't necessarily like conceptually about the first story was this idea of like Jack being inside Joe. I was never a big fan of that dual thing. It's
weird, but Murphy makes it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge part of this issue, and I'm not going to let it bog it down because I love the rest of it. But I mean, I didn't like.
Have to go with it, don't you?
I didn't like it in the first story, so I have to mention it. I've not changed my mind on it. It's just.
Yeah, I almost wish that it wasn't like when he turns into Jack. It's not just a physical thing, but like he's the hair color and white skin are gone, and that's kind of a problem for. I don't want to say believability.
I wasn't sure if it actually was gone or if it was more just a look. We're portraying it that way.
Okay, because if that's the case, I can see that Harley looks around and instantly sees him as Jack, and not Joker.
Yeah, because I bought it in the first volume where he was taking like actual drugs to that stuff. But here it is an instantaneous switch, so I don't know if it actually was a switch or if it was just more perception, and it was just illustrating that to us by doing it.
I also like how she explains why she wears the diamonds, which on her suit is because when he reached out to her for the first time in Arkham as Harleen, that it was on a 3 of diamonds. And so she wears that on her suit as a, as a not a remembrance. What's the word I'm looking for? Reminder, I guess you can say, of Jack and Harleen. So it's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give this one a 9. They're flowing.
Oh, not firing blanks today. Connor.
None.
It's all right. You got back up on this one, Matt. I'm also giving it a 9.
I'm just going with a straight 8 on this one. Very, 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 very good. but a little bit lower than you guys. So that's Batman Curse of the Witney issue 5. That'll take us on to the last new book of the week, and there's a very long list of books. We might have broken our record with this episode. I'm not sure. I won't know until I've edited it for sure. Because obviously,
once you take out the tangents,
yeah, the bonus bits and whatnot, it's hard to say. The record I think is like 3 hours 10 minutes, but I mean we'll see.
This has felt like an eternity.
we got started late too, so we're still making good time.
After it was what was like 2 or 3 books ago. It was like maybe after Dark Multiverse. I thought, oh, Dark Multiverse, that's near the end, and I was like, oh my god, there's still so many books left.
Yeah, because obviously the Hill House and the Young Animal and all that stuff always goes at the end.
Yeah,
Black Label.
No, it does. I know it does.
Yeah.
But in my head, when we get into Dark Multiverse stuff, we're near the end.
Usually.
Yeah, and now, oh my god, there's still so much.
Usually. So yeah. I think it's been a good show, though. I think people will be enjoying this.
It's a damn good job we're splitting next week in 2. Let me tell you that.
Oh yeah, it is. Well, that's the funny thing is this week almost feels worse because it's a bigger batch in one go because we're not splitting it.
Yeah,
but it would have been obviously anyway.
Yeah, I looked at there was way more books this week than I'm going to have next week, and
well, per episode.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Let's get through this last one so then I can ignore Connor on his Patreon book.
That's fine.
So, Dollhouse Family issue 2 came out this week. Mike Carey writing with Peter Gross on the art. And this continues the story of young Alice, who of course ended the first issue with her murdering her father with a hammer.
Yeah, as you do. And her mother takes the fall for her because she doesn't want her daughter to go to prison, juvie, whatever. She's
pretty
like, no,
understandable.
I killed my husband. Just tell my daughter I love her. And this sets her on a path where she's at this kind of like boarding house for kids, and there's this kid named Jenny particularly who's a little bitch and is making her life miserable to the point where she actually stabs herself to make
the screwdriver.
There's these potential parents who are going to adopt Alice, and this girl, when no one's looking, stabs herself with a screwdriver that Alice was using for a little project, and then says, "Alice stabbed me." And obviously the people are too scared to take her now because they think she stabbed someone. And and all this time the Dollhouse is like, "Hey, Alice, we're here. Say the phrase again and come in."
Because that's it. Alice isn't saying a single word. She is.
No, she's completely mute, and that's another thing that Jenny's getting up. She's a terrible brat. This is all just a play. She's playing this up so she gets more.
She can talk, but she's choosing not to.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, no, that's not how trauma works. You shit nugget, so.
In fact, I think it's even maybe I don't know if it's before or after this, but she's going to go see her mother in prison, and they get a phone call that her mother's been stabbed by another prisoner, and her mother's now dead.
And and then she feels it adds to it because she's feeling the guilt because her mom took the rap for her,
and that's when she gives in she goes to the house and goes in. And of course, because it's going back and forth between this and the story and the backstory from the 19th century, we actually have context for who one of the people in the house is at this point, who turns out to be the baby from the backstory, which we'll get to in a minute. But they're saying, "Hey, I know you turned us down with your dad, but we can take care of this little bitch, Jenny. Like we can take care of her.
Yeah, we got this.
You can stay here." And she doesn't. And the voice in the black room doesn't like get angry. It just says, "Hey, okay, that's 2 times, but I've got a feeling 3rd time's the charm. You'll be back."
Yep.
You'll be back. They always come back. And but Jenny happened to see her do the poem or whatever it was, the magic words.
Yeah.
Which is almost like a dark Shazam story now that I think about it. And so she tries it, and that doesn't end up well for Jenny, does it?
No, the book ends with like Jenny, the voice talks to her, says, "Oh, sorry, little one. I'm only interested in people from a particular family tree." So even though we said last time the people in the house aren't literally a family, they technically are all related by the sounds of it.
Yeah, so Cordwainer is her ancestor in some way.
Yeah. Right. I'm glad you remember that name because I don't remember it.
Cordwainer, yeah. Well, it's such a weird name.
It sticks in your head,
also, the Black Room voice, we'll call this the Black Voice going forward, also said that they tried to get Alice's mom, but she wouldn't play. You know, so
the final shot, just to finish off this Jenny stuff, is that the voice says to her, "But nobody who knocks on my door is ever sent away." And the last panel is just her shoes left on their own in front of the little dollhouse. It's just a great little no, she's gone. Like she's been eaten by the house.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, really, really good stuff. And then the flashback story is that after the guy, after he comes back from his adventure in the cave, falls in love with his nurse. And wants to marry her, and she's this poor nurse, and she's like, sure, because you're from this rich family, you're nobility, and his parents are like, you're crazy, is this filthy poor person? And she can't even
she's like, why me? Like I'm just a nurse, and everyone around him's kind of like, well, you know how people are, Lord Nightingale syndrome, like they fall in love with their nurses. She even brings that up to him. He's like, oh no, you're the one, I know it.
Yeah, and his parents are like, she's barren, she can't give kids, why would you do this? And obviously, after they get married and his parents have kind of disowned them, they're having sex. And notably, there's a panel of the naked crazy woman in the cave that kind of like seduced them last issue, who seems to be. It looks like
there's a tail coming from her front.
There is,
It's like. It seems like she's aware that there's sex happening right now, and it makes me think that she passed something into him that is the reason why, even though this woman's supposed to not be unable to give birth, she ends up pregnant.
Well, she's not supposed to be able to have children. She ends up having birth, but it doesn't end up well for her.
Oh, it doesn't, no, because we get this really gory page of like she's hemorrhaged after the birth, and bizarrely, so there's like some afterbirth that they ask one of the maids to take down into the furnace, and when the maid's getting the furnace ready, she turns around and it's gone, and she thinks a rat, and we don't get to see what's happened, but she thinks like a rat's like dragged it off, and all I can think is, no, that moved on its own. That's creepy thing moving.
She sees it at the end. Like, because she gets in there, she looks horrified.
Yeah, we don't get to see what she sees though, right? We just see her reaction.
We just see her reaction, but we know she's seen it, and it's definitely not a rat.
Yeah, it's definitely not a rat. She's got a broom. She's ready to like whack whatever it is, and she looks terrified. All I'm thinking is that this thing in the afterbirth moved on its own.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's my guess.
It made me think of the movie. It's Alive.
Yeah.
Where it had the poster of the baby carriage. And it's like, there's only one thing with the Johnson baby. It's alive. And I was getting vibes from that. And oh man, I'm so far Hill House is yet to disappoint.
Joe, I'm really interested in the narrator of this story.
Yeah, because it's a third person narration who's talking about them.
Yeah, because it's they're talking about like when we cut to at one point it's like 85. I was never very good with time. Alice is older now, so this must be later.
Yeah, so it's not her. Yeah.
No, and it kind of feels Manhattan-esque, right? In the way that they seem to be experiencing this simultaneously.
It could be. It makes me wonder if it's the cave lady.
Yeah, I was going to say that, the cave lady.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that in the sort of the boarding house for kids, about 3 or 4 years do pass. So there's a couple of time jumps. The first one's like 2 years, and then there's another year after that. So just worth mentioning.
Yeah, because we start in 83 and we get to, let's say, at least 85.
It goes 85 and then it goes to 86 or 7 after that as well.
Yeah, and then the original two, the guy in the cave is 1826, and then a couple years past there too.
Yeah.
As
86 is the last bit.
There you go. So, time's moving in both stories. So, very curious. And again, we have to go back to the Celestial who fell to Earth at the start of the first issue.
Yeah, there's that too. Maybe that's the narrator too. That's why time doesn't
maybe.
Yeah. mean a thing to it.
And is it related to the house itself, or is the house something that is like, I don't know.
So many questions.
It almost makes me wonder if this is like a struggle between good and evil, and like the house wants to corrupt Alice, but who's ever telling the story knows that Alice is stronger, so, and that's why it's not been able to corrupt her like it has other members of the family. Like there's a bloodline,
But I mean, she had also beat her dad in with the hammer, so I mean.
But it's that's shown as like a choice of strength. Is no, I'm not letting the house do that. I'm going to do it myself. I'll deal with my own problems.
Because if she just wanted to give in, let the house do it, she's selling over her soul essentially. Here, she's like, well, no, and then the fact that led to her mother's death, and now she's lost both parents.
But it definitely shows. Actions. But it definitely shows us a darkness, because beating someone to death with a hammer is not healthy, normal.
No, it's not. But it's that owning the responsibility of it. She's very aware that.
Oh no, I do get that, but there's clearly a darkness that's just around her and like inside her and whatnot. Like maybe it comes from the temptation to give into the house. Maybe it's related to that, but there is a darkness there.
You know, there's something with the bloodline that started with the guy that fell in the cave. You know, like it almost makes me wonder if the celestial being is the afterbirth, and this is a way of it returning to life. You know, like no one had made it into the cave for so long, and I don't know.
Maybe.
She had a tail coming from her front parts, man. What is with that?
Well, coming out of something, probably.
That's the thing is, I don't recall her having a tail before. Do you?
No.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
She's evolving.
Yeah. Getting stronger.
There's a pun in there, but I'm not going to make it. Just move on.
Okay, we'll move on. I didn't even know we were going to go with that, but we'll move on. So that's issue 2. Art's obviously very consistent with the first one. Same sort of mood, same sort of style. So, no. Hell House is, I mean, at least the first 2 series, which have had both a couple issues each now, are both...
So it's a really good thing that when the 2-page backup's the most disappointing, just because it's only 2 pages, and I'm not reading it.
That's I'm not even bothering.
Yeah, well, I had 10 books.
Collected.
Yeah, I had 10 books this week, so I was happy to just skip those 2 pages at the end.
Yep. I got to it. I was like, nah, that'll be collected soon.
Just read it as a one-shot at the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's Dollhouse Family issue 2. Matt, what are you giving it?
8.5.
Connor?
8.5.
I'm going to give it 8.5. So... I didn't want to do it, but damn it, I didn't want to go as high as a 9.
This is such a positive week, except Flash.
Except Flash. Flash is the outlier. Now, I'll tell you right now, I've been needing to use the bathroom for a little while, and finally I'm going to get my chance, because we're on to the final book of the week, which is the Patreon pick that Connor has to do. And the reason why he has to do this is because, of course, on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, there's one of the higher tiers is that you can make me or Connor read a book. And so one person here is making Connor read Undiscovered Country issue 2 by Scott Snyder and what's his face? Charles Soule.
You say making, but I feel like Connor would have read this anyways. Now he's just getting the Patreon benefit.
Okay. You know? I guess the way to put it there is to sort of make him talk about a non-DC book that he wants to hear about on the show.
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe.
Because I was going to read this anyway. I mean, I might have waited and read some in trade, but it was on my radar.
So I went and read it after you did the last talk of it. I finally,
First issue.
I read that, and it was as I don't say befuddling. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot to take on. It's like, that first issue is so dense. It's so out there with its concepts. Things are all over the place.
And you have the characters that are related, brother and sister.
Yeah, and you're jumping around in time a lot in that issue.
But they're still American, right? But they're expat Americans, and so how does that play into what does it mean to be American on the outside? You know, of
there's actually some real nice beats in regards to that in this second issue.
Because doesn't it shift to now the brother? So where the sister was more, this one.
Yeah,
I remember reading that in the Solicit. You go ahead and talk. If I pick up on certain words, I'll interject.
Yeah. So how the first issue, the flashbacks. I'll just talk about the flashback bits first.
Yeah.
How it was, how the sister got recruited. This time it's the brother. But before that, we actually have a flashback to when they're both kids, still in America. And it's their parents telling them, right, we're going to send you away to England and now. And we have the doctor, Sam Elgin. He's there on their last day.
So they know him. He's the one that they were looking for at the first one, right?
The one who sent them the message, and he's the one at the end doing I need you. There's a prophecy and all that. So just to stick with the flashbacks, we actually get to see the brother recruited, and he actually gets recruited by both sides in the exact same method, which is quite funny. Basically, one side comes to him and goes, "Look, we learn that he actually tried to break into America already in the past. He almost started World War V, trying it.
World War V.
World War V.
On that.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't even make it. I barely even got close. And she's like, yeah, well, you got closer than anyone alive, and and you nearly pulled off the impossible. So for that reason, we need you. But we're not just going to force you into this. We're going to bribe you, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's like, here you go. She pulls out a bottle of Michter's bourbon whiskey. It's like, look, I tracked it down. We know this is your whiskey that you like. This, Michter's 10-year, and the only bottle outside the US apparently. Does it, is this enough for us to, have a chance to just make a deal? And he's like, all right, we can talk. Mm-hmm. And then actually, because I think that was 3 weeks earlier, and then that was the Euro-Afrique Alliance that did that side, and then 4 days earlier we get the Pan-Asian Zone approach him and do the exact same thing with, hey, I've got this bottle of Michter's, can we talk? And they've both gone, we've been told this is the last bottle outside the US, unless of course they still make it, but we'll never know. This could be the last bottle in the world, but they've obviously both been told that same line because it's different bottles. It's kind of fun, but so this guy got 2 free bottles of Michter's, and I mean he's coming out on top here. He's lucky. But that's that flashback stuff. But I mean, it was kind of just this nice parallel, seeing how both sides kind of recruit him in the same way, and he's kind of being a double agent, playing for both. It seems like he accepts deals from both of them, or while we don't see any specifics, he's open to negotiations with both of them. Right, presumably, the others don't know.
He's going in with was it the Afrique one, the Euro-Afrique,
the group as a whole, because they sent.
No. But the 2 groups that are left standing, because they both try to recruit him. So who's he going with? Like, who's his?
Well, they send the joint alliance. So the team that they actually send into America is this joint group. So it's got people from both sides, and he's there as like the mercenary support. Because he's been before, sort of thing. And obviously both sides have tried to recruit him for personal advantage to favor them over the other, but obviously neither of them know that he's doing that. So we actually, to cut into the present day stuff, we learn a lot more about the mythology of the spiral. The areas on the spiral, the zones, are physical spaces. Each one of them is separated by a wall, and to get through the wall into the next zone, you need the key, and you also need to find the door, because there's only one door in each wall. Now, the idea here is Sam has he knows where the door is, but Destiny's King, is that what he was called? The tribesman, he has the key, and he also has their pilot, who he, because we saw him, last time, and with the bison and bit his foot off.
The foot off, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, well, he's dead, and Sam's like, nah, he ain't dead. He'll be torturing him for information. So we actually get a scene of the Destiny Man torturing the pilot, and he's chopped off one of his arms, and no, just his foot. His arm's like injured, and the guy's like, hey, if you help me find where the door is, we'll spare you the collar. And he's like, well, the collar? Who cares about that? You took my foot. And he's like, well, you can still work the wall. Plenty do. And then we actually see what that means, and it is just people. They're hanging by ropes. They're wearing nothing but like some collars and stuff, and they are obviously just searching for the door in the wall, and that's it. And they're just throwing people at it till one of them finds it.
And good gravy.
Yeah, it's kind of grim. It's
I want to know, like, so I've met both Soule and Snyder. I want to know where they pull such dark stuff out of.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're both pretty well-adjusted writers. Like,
they have some twisted ideas.
Yeah, like, because it's not the first time out of Snyder we've seen stuff like this. I mean, the Swamp Thing goes dark places, and Soule a little bit, like, so did his Swamp Thing does too, but not nearly as bad. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's rough. The collar sounds rough.
Yeah. But, we cut back to, Sam and the others. And the group as a whole are voting on what they should do. Should they go, and because Sam's like made them a deal, basically. It's, hey, you help me get the key off the Destiny Man. Mm-hmm. And come with me to open the door and see what's on the other side. If you don't want to go through, fine. I'll give you the coordinates to get back out. Or you can just try and go now and make your own way without my help. And the group basically splits into two and to vote on, what they're going to do. And it comes down to, the brother being the deciding vote. And he says, we're going to go after Destiny Man. And he's like, we need to save the pilot. And, they're like, let's not get sentimental. He knew the risk. And it's like, hey, I'm not being sentimental. He's the goddamn pilot. How are we going to get out without him? We'll go, we'll get the key and we'll get the coordinates and we'll have our pilot and we can leave. So they're like, all right, well, we're going to have to find a way and make a diversion. And this is where things, get interesting. We see, Sam in his big American get-up, in his hat and everything, on the hill in front of the rolling city of Destiny Man, and they shoot him down. And then he gets back up all zombified. And we learn that this is the drones actually kind of making a projection kind of hologram to do this as a diversion while they sneak in the back. So you've got all these, genetically modified animals. So they're on like the shrimp that they're riding on, and they come up behind. They take out the riders, steal the robes, and they have to kill the shrimp because they realize what's going on. And they're like, right, we got the robes now. This is going to be much easier. And then, so we see the brother. He goes on ahead because this is kind of his job. So he's like, I'm going to scout ahead, see how dangerous it is. And he gets up to the city, and we see the black voice speech, which is what we saw earlier with the Destiny Man.
Right.
And he's like, oh, are you prepared to fill your destiny? And the brother, wondering when I'd see you again. I'm ready to do what he wants. What was agreed? And he goes, deal's a deal. I'm Destiny's man. So he's betrayed them all. And I'm kind of going, okay, so did he know about this before he was approached? Was the message kind of sent through him? It's real interesting stuff. Because again, so the flashbacks are, which side is he going to betray? Who did he choose? Who did he make the deal with? And then you get to this, it's like he's betrayed them all, right?
Right.
Or is he? I suppose will be the obvious turn because this is a cliffhanger in a comic. But it's
especially
a
Snyder cliffhanger, which we know
it doesn't mean much. No. Right. This could be actually just him using it to get his way in, and he's going to betray the Destiny Man, which would still work perfectly fine in context of the story. It's just this is comic cliffhangers. It kind of sucks in that regard, but no, this is pretty great. Art's great again. Kevin Cully doing great stuff, amazing colors, still so vibrant and alive, and so unearthly, given that it is just kind of America ultimately. But it just seems so different. It doesn't feel like we're on Earth anymore. It's real great. This is 8.5.
I was just unmute myself before I talk again. I was about to say, I've not unmuted myself yet. I better do that, and it just took a second, so there was a little bit of a silence before I got there. Cool. So that was the last book of the week on this epic journey of an episode.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's been one of those. Next week would be even longer, except we are taking the smart choice of splitting the show in two. So I'm actually just going to get my list up that I made and tell you guys about next week and tell you how it's splitting up.
Are we not going to do that after all the end of the week stuff usually?
Yeah, right. I'll do that when I'm telling them what's coming next week. You're right. I should do it that way. Okay. In that case, we'll do. Obviously, this is part of the show where we pick our favourites of the week. Stop! Why are you laughing, Matt? You bear-shaped menace.
I love that you have to admit that Connor's right, but you ignore it and just move on.
That's how you do it, Matt. That's how you do it.
I know.
Like, the trick is to never give Carl the satisfaction if you can help it, right? You never give him what he wants. You just circumvent as much as humanly possible. That's the beauty of it. So, yes, this is the part of the show where we pick our favourite stuff of the week. We do favorite panel/moment. We do favourite cover, favourite art, and top 5 books of the week. And there's so many books that top 5 is actually quite a bit of a fight.
Pretty much all of these mean something this week. So, here we go. So, panel/moment of the week. Matt, you're up first.
If we can go back to like 4 hours ago when we were talking about Superman, we all know.
Oh Christ, Superman was this week.
Yeah, we all know where this is going.
It's been 72 years.
Yeah, it's when Clark tells Perry White. That entire page ends with the hug. It made me weepy.
It's hard to argue with that one. That page is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Page is phenomenal. Connor, what you got?
I'm going to go with From White Knight. I'm just trying to decide between which one I want. There's two. I'm going to go with the Bane decapitation because that really just threw me off guard. I was like, holy shit, this is awesome.
It's so freaking good.
It was that all because I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good choices. I think I need to go with the ending of Superman. I need to go with Lex.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Lex's reaction to this and his anger as Brainiac is, like, how could you not see this coming, Lex?
Yeah.
You idiot.
Mind you, he's the smartest creature in the galaxy, never once put together either.
But I don't think Brainiac cares though. Like, or
no,
like,
I know, but
yeah,
right. But he's also like, well, I wonder if Lex is like, well, I could have asked you and you could have told me, but we never made it to that.
I think in the context of the way Brainiac's saying this, it's almost like him making this announcement to the world is like almost going to inspire a lot of hope because he's being honest with everyone, and it's like this really good-natured thing which goes against the whole Doom thing. Again, the timeline of how this actually even fits into what's going on in Justice League is baffling, but so I'll go with that. Best cover of the week. I will start off because I was looking earlier while you were doing.
Yeah, I'm not
books.
ready on this one.
And I really like the Batman, or the Detective Comics variant, rather, I should say. But my pick is going to be the variant for Dollhouse Family, which is the one with the hammer and the dead body that's had its head bashed in front of the dollhouse. I really like that cover. Really moody, really detailed, lots of good shadowing. Very, very good. So, Connor, what's your cover of the week?
Still looking.
All right,
Give
Matt,
me a second.
what's your cover of the week?
Mine's White Knight, the regular cover. I like the Babs cover, but it's just kind of like a showcase. It's not really, but the one with Joker on there, he looked properly menacing.
Yeah, I've noticed they've started putting the variants at the end of the digital versions now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yep.
I kind of like to just be in the second page as just the next cover, but whatever.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I don't always get to the very end, like, of the cover. I'll get to, all right, that was the last page of the story, right, on to the next thing now.
Oh, it's just easier to get to the end rather than put it back to the start.
I have to.
Yeah.
No, I have to finish it.
Plus,
I get beaten up in my app.
Just put Mark Red or Mark Unread.
No, I know what you do.
But it's usually just 2 more pages before it's done from the last page, so it's fine.
Like for example, in White Knight, there's like 3 pages of like bonus features and stuff. Like, next time black and white pages. It's like 4 pages of that before you get to the variant. So I didn't even realize that was at the end there, for example.
That's fair. All right, what's your cover, Connor? You're stalling.
I'm gonna go with the detective variant, I think. Although I love both the covers, but yeah, I'll go with the variant.
Oh, Tim's posting his new desk that he's all set up with all his Hellboy merch. He's like, here's the new podcasting desk. Although, we're not going to see any of that in the actual footage because the camera's going to be pointing away from it.
Well, I wouldn't trust him on that. You'll just hear his voice while looking at Hellboy shite.
All right, best art of the week is what we're on. Clark can go first for this one.
Oh shit!
You have to go first for one, you prick.
I know. But this is so hard when you've got Murphy on White Knight. Detective was great. Far Sector was great. Oh man. I'll go with Far Sector, I think, just.
Jamal Campbell. Okay, I will throw my hat in for, like I say, Blanco for Detective. Obviously, Far Sector was very good. Mm-hmm. You got Murphy. Bizarrely, I think I'm actually going to go with Dexter Soy for Batman the Outsiders. There's something about his style that I think is just so consistently pleasing to my eye. So I'm going to go with that. Cool. Oddball choice, but Dexter Soy for...
I mean, it's Dexter Soy. It's not that much of an oddball choice.
No.
Sure, but, Matt, what you got?
Yeah, so I also wanted to throw up Supergirl, Rachael Stott.
Solid.
Pretty good, too. But it's going to be Murphy. I can't go against Murphy unless Gary Frank's there, and Gary Frank's not there. So
yeah,
next week.
Yeah,
I can't. It was that struggle week for. I didn't even mention Melo for Harley and Ivy, which looked fantastic.
Yep, Melo's always good. So.
All right. Here's the tough part. Matt, top 5 books of the week. Go.
This means a lot more. Like Pete always says, it means a lot more when there's a lot. But also when they're this good, like this week, except for Flash.
I've only got 2 books under an 8.
I'm pretty sure Matt fired out enough 9s that I think his entire top 5 will be 9 and up in terms of ratings.
Yeah, probably. So number 1, Superman, right? Number 2 is going to be... Crap, now I can't remember which order. So I don't write this stuff down. Let me. I gotta look.
Would you like me to remind you of all the books we did, Matt?
No. I'll
be here
go
all
number
night.
2. Number 2, I'll give to Detective because Tom Taylor deserves that number 2 spot. Number 3 is going to be White Knight. Number 4 is going to be Hawkman. And number 5, do I do Far Sector, Dollhouse Family? Or Supergirl?
So many
Dang, this
choices.
is tough. You know what? I'm going to keep it in the Super Family. Supergirl, number 5.
Cool. Connor?
Detective, White Knight. Gosh, Batman books back to back.
You know, it sucks, right?
I know. Far Sector.
So sorry you enjoyed multiple books.
I know. It's Hawkman and then Dollhouse.
I'm going to put Detective at number 1, Superman at number 2. This is where it gets a little bit spottier though. 1 and 2 were kind of easy, but after that, number 3 I'm going to go with Dollhouse Family. Number 4 I'm going to go with Curse of the White Knight, and number 5 I'm going to go with. So many things I want to give the the moment to, right? Like,
yeah, I know. I did the same thing.
So many things.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But in that last slot, I'll give it to Hauser. I'll give it to Supergirl.
Yeah, smart.
I also think book for book, this might be one of the strongest weeks we've ever had on this show. When there's that many books that we're all giving like 8s and up.
Yeah, and the 3.5 hour episode length of the podcast dictates that there was a lot of books. I agree.
I'm trying to wrap it up because I'm starving.
Oh, I'm hungry too. Don't worry. Yeah, we are. Don't worry. So that's the best of the week. So I'll tell you what's coming next week. But more specifically, I'm going to go to my own list, which is split into the 2, so I can tell you what's coming on each show. Because we're doing 2 episodes next week, both of which are numbered, which is important because our 200th episode is hitting in March as well. Actually, so something else. We were mentioning the March Solicits earlier. Our 200th episode actually falls in that month.
This doesn't throw that off, does it?
No. This is the numbering, including this extra episode. Okay. So, don't worry, that's all been thought out. But yes, so coming next week, unless there's been any last minute changes, because I'm not looking at Diamond, so you guys can jump in with corrections if there's anything that's correct in here.
Yeah,
I've got Diamond.
Seems to be one missing.
Right. So coming, so what we're doing here, just to explain this, is that we're going to have an episode at the regular time. Right, which if you didn't catch this last week, is now going up a day early for Patreon. Basically, as soon as I can get it edited and uploaded on a Saturday night, is when it's available on Patreon, and then it's up at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. Is now the official time when the podcast releases. So, so the regular episode, the first episode, which is episode 186, will feature these books: Doomsday Clock 12, Batman 85. Batman Superman number 5, which leads nicely into You're the Villain, Hell Arisen issue 1.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad number 1 from Tom Taylor. Justice League 38. Batman The Last Night on Earth issue 3. And The Lolo Woods issue 1. That is going to be episode 186. Yep. And if you're thinking that's not enough books, well, remember Doomsday Clock's probably going to take about an hour. So
yeah,
remember that part.
This is the final.
Yep. And it's also Tom King's final Batman, so there's going to be plenty to talk about in those books.
And I know it's not quite as big, but the Last Night on Earth is Snyder's last Batman issue.
Yeah, plus Tom Taylor's first Suicide Squad issue, the new first issue 1 of a new Hell House. A lot of big stuff in that part. And then the next episode, which we will be recording on the Monday and likely going up on the Tuesday, and keep in mind there's no books that the following week, so it's not like there's a new batch of books on the Wednesday after that. This is why the week's so big. But so 187, which will go up next Tuesday after the regular episode on the Sunday, will feature Aquaman 55, Legion of Superheroes number 2, Shazam issue 9, Jimmy Olsen number 6, Metal Men number 3, Harleen issue 3, which we're looking forward to, Joker Killer Smile issue 2, and Basket Full of Heads number 3.
You've missed one, Pete.
What one have I missed?
Wonder Woman Dead Earth issue 1. It's the start of that new Black Label Prestige.
I have missed one.
That's probably in the first show.
That goes on week 1. There you go. That goes on. Not week 1.
Why? That's too much.
Well, hold on. We can move Justice League. I don't think Justice League needs to be in that first batch now.
Okay, fine.
We'll move Justice League.
When I say too much, I mean by page count, because Prestige it's going to be...
Yeah.
Although
looking forward to it.
Right, Wonder Woman Dead Earth, that is.
Yeah. And
issue 1.
Just while I'm here, I'll rattle through a couple of books that are coming out that we haven't mentioned there because we're not covering, but we usually do that, right?
Yeah. So just to sort of I want to recap something here, just since we shifted things around here. So episode 186 out on the Sunday, normal time. Doomsday Clock, Batman, Superman, Hell Arisen issue 1, Suicide Squad number 1, Wonder Woman Dead Earth issue 1, Last Night on Earth issue 3, and Lola Woods issue 1. The idea is that all the event stuff, all the issue 1s or big conclusions are on that first week or the first episode, and the second episode is all still a lot of exciting stuff, but is in the second batch. So.
And Harleen, because it's just too damn big to fit in the first one.
Yeah. Exactly. So Harleen, because that's going to be probably a big discussion, maybe not quite as long as Doomsday Clock, but it'll be big, so that's on the second half.
Yeah.
Oof, right, there you go.
So coming out that we're not doing, that I could see, because I'm just skimming here, we have Catwoman 18, Flash Forward issue 4, Infected, The Commissioner, John Constantine Hellblazer issue 2, Last God issue 3, Lucifer 15, Nightwing 67. Is that it? Am I missing any more? Oh, Teen Titans 37 and Wonder Woman 83.
Yeah. So just imagine if we were reading some of those other books. It's a huge week.
I was speaking to my shop because DC are not the only ones pulling this trick with the Christmas week.
Marvel is too.
Yeah. My shop said it is the single biggest week of releases they have ever had in their existence of being open.
Yeah. There you go. So just to put that in perspective, that is 8 books on episode 186 and then 9 books on 187, which are both healthy enough, but obviously some of those books are huge. So
yeah, like I said, Harleen's like three or 4 long.
So and obviously it's like it'd be one thing if this was a natural size that we're going to do every month, so we'd just start cutting books probably, but it's not. It's just because they're pushing 2 weeks together because they're bastards. So that is the plan. So there's 2 episodes coming, and then
we will have our annual coming after that, right?
So basically the week of Christmas, because there's no books, much like we did last year, is the regular timed episode at the weekend. I think we're recording it at the usual time because it's not like it's falling on like a Christmas holiday or anything like that. Is going to be our annual episode where we do our best of the year, and I think I'm going to put out some sort of way for people to vote on some sort of an audience pick of some of those categories, so you guys can vote. And we'll have some audience picks along with our picks for that annual episode, so that'll be fun. How nice will it feel though not to have to read a bunch of books before the recording for 1 week?
It's gonna feel weird because it's been a year since we last had to do that.
Yeah, the last annual.
Yeah, but now I gotta think about the flipping last year.
Oh, no, I hate that bit.
It's good. I'm gonna wing it.
Yeah, so generally speaking, we do obviously our favorite books of the year. We do like a top 10s there, but we debate our favorite artist, favorite writer, some of the best moments of the year, that kind of thing. So,
and it's gonna be weird because obviously, like in previous years that we've been doing the show, like Tom King's Batman's been pretty high up. I suspect it might not be this year.
I can kind of guess another Tom's gonna make a push this year. So.
Yeah. Heroes in Crisis. I mean, hell, if there's maybe like a most depressing or worst moment of the year, maybe Heroes in Crisis will swoop in and take it.
I don't think we want to be that negative.
It's possible. It's possible, but and obviously we'll talk about our hopes for the next year and whatever else. Maybe a little wrap up on like the DC movies and TV of the year and how we feel about that stuff going forward. The usual shebang. So that's the plan for the next 2 weeks. So you're getting 2 episodes. We're splitting the books the next week into half. And just go back and hear me list off what was in week 1 or episode 1 and episode 2 of those. So that's episodes 186 and 187. Actually, the numbering is off slightly.
Because the annual one.
Yeah, I've numbered the annual, and that shouldn't be numbered. That's annual number 4, not 188. So it just means that the episode 200s a week later than I thought it was, but that's no biggie.
Is it still in March?
It's still in March, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just the last week of March instead of the second last week, so no, whatever. No big deal. But hey, so yeah. That is the show. So yeah, I mean, to wrap up,
we survived.
Let us know what you thought of the books in the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. All that does help us out. As does going to Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Share the podcast out on Twitter, Facebook, whatever social media you use. I once accidentally said Tinder instead of Tumblr. But hey, if you want to put it on your Tinder profile, in case anyone look at your profile,
I think listening to us on your Tinder can only look good.
It can only look good. I can only imagine.
It'll show just how cultured you are.
Yes.
Cultured is another word for crazy, huh?
Of course. The downside is that they might click on it, hear and see some sexy voices and accents and people and go, you know what, this guy's boring now. Now these three are the dream scenario.
It's possible.
We might steal your Tinder date.
No, that's Tim's thing. Mario used to say, "Lock up your wife. Tim Margulies is in town."
Oh dear. Although Tim's a married man now, he's off the market.
Yes, I know. That's what I said. Used to say.
Yeah. Give it a couple of years, maybe after the divorce, he can be back in the pro.
Would not wish that upon those two. They're
of course
a
not.
Delightful couple.
They're delightful.
He's not wishing it. He's just saying it's an inevitability.
Yeah.
Connor and Paige, on the other hand, we could talk.
Hey, if any of the relationships out of the fuzzle is going to end with a hammer bashing to the head, it's going to be Connor and Paige.
He's not wrong.
Connor, look out behind you.
You'll just see it coming from the off camera.
Do you know what's funny, Matt? Is every so often, like, Ashley will make a cameo at the door in the background and we'll catch it on camera. But Ashley will lean in and wave at us and I'll wave back. Like, I think Paige, I've seen like a hand sneak into the frame once in the entirety of the years I've recorded with Connor. Like, she's doing her best to make sure her presence is never felt.
No. And that was probably to try to stop Connor from drinking to save his liver during a DC night.
She's fast asleep at that time.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the show. Yeah, you can also, of course, rate us on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars and a little review. And I do check from time to time to see if anyone's done it, and it's nice to hear the nice words.
He tells us any particularly amusing reviews.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, not in the Comics Podcast, but it was a great one about how great I was and how bad Connor was on one of the TV podcast feeds.
Yeah.
Guys, don't do that. It only pumps up his flipping already massive ego.
I don't have an ego.
I mean,
I don't have an ego.
I'd say a bit, but it's more like a lot.
If it wasn't for the time, I would say the Ego, the Living Planet, was based off of you.
I do not have an ego. I just enjoy, like, the only ego I have is when it's compared to Connor. Whenever someone says I'm great and Connor's terrible, that's where the ego comes in. Generally speaking, I don't really care. Like, whatever. But it's when they're saying Connor's bad. It's when people dislike Connor. I really enjoy it. Okay.
He does. He gets off on it.
I really enjoy it. So you can do that, of course, and then you can support us financially. Patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. I keep meaning to do the Patreon producers in the middle and not at the end, but here I've forgotten again. So thank you to David Short, Alison M. Fordyce, Cindy Palacios, and Tyler Hess for being our Patreon producers. That means that they are in the $20 tier or up on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. But of course, don't worry, you don't have to be a producer. You can go and support us for as little as $1 per month, and you get bonuses, outtakes, and stuff. The wrestling talk that me and Matt had, of course, you'll get there for the $1. You'll get all 3 of us talking about metal covers that we did for like 10 minutes earlier on.
And soon, hopefully, you'll get a discussion of me and Pete talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths. The comic.
Yeah.
I'm close. I'm halfway through issue 9. I'm nearly
He's
the
been
end.
halfway through issue 9 since like Wednesday.
It's been a busy week, okay? It's been a very busy week, but I'm getting there.
I've been done with this conversation since Wednesday too. Let's get it going.
Yeah, and like I said, those at the $5 tier and up do get the podcast now sometime on Saturday night. There's no concrete time because depending on the length of the podcast, it can take longer to upload and export. This one in particular might be very late. If you're listening to this now, it took a while to export this. So thank you very much once again for joining us, for watching or listening. We love you loads. We always appreciate it. This has been the end of I'm definitely confident this is the longest one we've ever done. So
thank you. Monster episode.
Once again. We appreciate it always. So thank you from Matt. Thank you from Connor, and especially thank you from me. That is the DC Comics podcast. That is episode 185. Thank you very much. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Just realized I gave out way more 9s than a German getting his car backed into.